Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Headmaster's Homeroom. I am Lady Hamilton, and that's right, it is art night. Happy Saturday to everybody here. I'm so glad you guys could join me tonight. You guys are in for an amazing treat. So let's say hello to all of our viewers tonight. It's so great to see you. Hello to everybody over there on Rumble. I see a lot of you in the Artist Corner family members there. Thank you so much for joining. Hello to all of our ex-viewers. Nice to see you. Hello to all of our Pilled viewers and also our YouTube viewers. I'm so excited to welcome everybody here tonight for Art Night. It's super exciting. Do me a favor. Remember to hit those buttons. Let's get this show growing. Hit that like, follow, and share so that more people can come and see these amazing talents that we put out on this show. And thank you guys for helping support the show. We love your Rumble rants, your Cash Apps, your pills, your tips, and more. Thank you guys so much for that. I really, truly appreciate it. Well, it is Saturday night, and you know what that means. Every single day, I have an amazing community over there on Truth and on X. It's called Artist Corner, and yes, it's Artist Corner International, and I get to highlight an artist every single day, whether you are a painter, a sculptor, a photographer, a poet, a woodworker, a crocheter, a seamstress, and more. We love to have you, and I'm so excited to have you all in our group. So every single day I do an artist of the day, and you know what? By your likes, your shares, and your comments, those all get tallied up to have the artist of the week. So on Saturdays we get to celebrate that. So let's get right to that. You guys, tonight, our artist of the week, we're so excited. She goes by Anne Marie, and that is her name. She's been on the show a few times. We sure do love her, and we want to give her a huge round of applause. You guys can follow her on Truth and on X at SAHSJ. We absolutely love having her in our wonderful Artist Corner family. And these are the pictures that we posted this week that got her Artist of the Week. So huge congratulations to Anne Marie. Aren't these absolutely amazing? You guys definitely love your animal pictures. And I'll tell you what, these are so exciting. One of the great things about her, too, is a lot of her work and commissions go to help support shelters and adoptions. And we absolutely love you. Thank you so much, Anne Marie, for being part of our amazing Artist Corner family. And a huge congratulations to you. You are our Artist of the Week. So you guys make sure you do me a favor and go give her a shout out and a follow and a congratulations for the amazing work she does. All right, everyone, we're super excited about that. Let's take off this wonderful banner. So tonight, one of our Artist Corner family members is in the house. I am so excited to welcome Geoff Houghton, or Houghton. I'm probably saying this wrong. Sorry, he's probably going to correct me. I think it's Houghton, a self-taught painter whose imaginative work brings history, fantasy, and bold color together in a world all his own. With a lifelong fascination for visual storytelling, Geoff's art evolved from early watercolor beginnings into a distinctive, fine, illustrative style that blends elements of steampunk and pop surrealism. Geoff's work centers on colorful, whimsical characters set in alternative Victorian-era reality, where fashion, technology, and personality collide. Often inspired by real historical figures, his subjects are reimagined with his vibrant SteamFolk universe, also known as Wistful World. Influences from El Greco, Alphonse Mucha, and Dr. Seuss can be felt throughout his work, while Amedeo Modigliani, he's going to have to tell me that one, elongated figurative forms serve as a defining foundation for his recent pieces. His art has been widely exhibited in galleries, libraries, and art centers, earning numerous awards and consistent recognition in juried shows. Most recently, Geoff's work was accepted into the Creme de la Creme 2025 juried exhibition at the Visual Arts Guild in Frisco, Texas. Tonight, he's going to tell us all about his wonderful pieces through his imaginative storytelling as we explore his rich, detailed characters and the whimsical world they inhabit. Everyone, please do me a favor and welcome my guest tonight, our dear friend from Artist Corner, Geoff. Hello, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to see you here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We are truly excited.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad to be here.
I just want to throw this up here too, because I know everybody is saying hello. So let's grab that here as you guys are all saying hello to us, right? and hello to each other, right? Super excited to see that. And then wonderful, right? That is from our wonderful Rumble channel. And love it. Thank you guys so much for saying hello and welcome to our wonderful friend tonight. Yes, yes. Welcome, Geoff. Right. So excited to tell us about us or tell us about you. You know, we just have seen you through your amazing artwork. So it's really interesting how you got into this world of art. Have you been doing this your whole life?
Yeah, I've dabbled a lot, in my younger years, just doing weird character stuff. I remember growing up and drawing stuff for my family. And then I kind of, had a family, I have 4 children, and we just kind of life went on. And, I kind of started getting into the painting. And I honestly don't really remember exactly what like sparked me to want to start painting. I know I have a family member, like an older relative and from the past who was an artist, and I always remember seeing those. In fact, there was at least 2 relatives that were pretty good landscape type artists. So I kept on, kept in my mind, that I really enjoyed that. And then, I was working the busy life of, working with jobs and stuff. I was working for major insurance companies. And then before that, actually, I was working on golf courses. I was a golf course superintendent for a good, I don't know, about 12 years or so. But I always dabbled on the weekends doing my art. And so then I would do shows on there, and my young children would watch me paint and they would go with me to my shows, which was kind of fun, like I had my helpers. So it's been busy trying to keep things going. And then I'm sure I can quite remember, but back in about 2006 or somewhere around there, unfortunately, I got nailed with a couple of strokes that put me out of commission, and they were about a year apart. I had to relearn everything. I could barely talk. Had to go through all kinds of physical therapy, so I still kind of struggle with that. From my speech is kind of whacked out sometimes, so I have to kind of have a lot of word finding. So it's kind of hard to come up with things sometimes. So that's why I'm always trying to think of, like, what am I trying to say? And unfortunately, the result of all that, I ended up losing half my vision on my right side. So both sides of my eyes, I can't see anything.
Wow.
At somebody, but I can't see, to my peripheral, I can't see anybody. So unfortunately, I had to give up my driver's license, which is not always fun.
No.
And then of course it left me a weekend on my right side. So early on, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to paint again.
Right.
My right hand, I paint, so I was able to kind of overcome that a little bit by quite a few years. I was able to, use my left hand to help steady my hand. The problem is I got a little bit of strength, but the sensation is so gone that I couldn't tell if my hand was sliding on the paper, because I was doing watercolors at that point. So I couldn't tell what was going on. So in order to feel that, I used my left hand to kind of judge if I was sliding accidentally. So it was kind of weird in that regard.
Right. Wow. You have been through a lot.
So I did that, and that kind of put me out of, and some regards, I did the art on the weekends, and it was actually a really good thing, because when I had those strokes, I was in the prime of my career, at the insurance companies, in the IT area. And, luckily I was able to fall back and do my art, although it took a while to kind of get back to there. So it was a nice transition. Like, well, I guess now I'm officially an artist.
Well, I mean, I guess that's one good thing, and the fact that you can still do it, because through all this kind of craziness, I wonder if you found it very therapeutic as you're learning the process and learning this over again. Was it a therapeutic for your journey?
Boy,
Not so much.
I don't know about that.
More of a stress because you're like, I need to get this back. I can understand, you know.
Yeah, just that was always a concern whether or not I would be able to even paint again. But I was able to kind of pick it up, and I didn't. I think it was a good probably a couple of years or so that I didn't do any art whatsoever, and then I just started doing it, and so I'm definitely getting better. So I've been doing the watercolors pretty most of that time.
Right.
Believe it or not, it's only been boy a year and a half that I've actually been doing acrylics.
Really.
It's all these years, it's mainly been watercolor,
Right.
which is supposedly is harder to do than acrylic. Supposedly, I don't know, because I guess
think
I guess it's good that I started with watercolors, and then I can go to something easier. Supposedly,
right. Well, I think that. I mean, I've dabbled in it and I've done a few watercolors, but it's not the easiest thing for me, and so I really admire the ones that can do it and do it really well. So that's amazing that that you are able to do that for so long, and then you found acrylics because your stuff just pops off the page. I just get so excited because you have such a unique outlook when it comes to art, and I can completely understand. I went through some physical struggles myself where I was pretty paralyzed, and for a few years, you just can't. You have to work yourself up and take care of yourself before you can reach those other avenues. And I am so glad that you were able to come back and find your voice through art again, because your art just excites me in so many ways. It's so unique. It's so it's whimsical. It's awesome.
yeah, I really try to pound the lights against the darks. Early on, I think when you're first learning watercolors, the tendency is to want to go on the light side, just because that's the nature of watercolors, especially if you're using like pan watercolors, which is hard, and you're kind of like getting the water into the media, which is hard. So you're really just pushing around colorful water, which is beautiful.
Right.
But I was fortunate early on, very early on, that somebody gave me a boatload of Winsor & Newton watercolors, tube stuff, and that's where things really started taking off, and that's when I learned that boy, the tubes are so much better than the pan stuff, because I would literally put down like straight out of the tube doing colors because it is so good. I love putting the lights against the darks, so it's anything when you're having contrast is what really makes things pop out.
Wow, that is right. It is definitely an amazing world to play with that, and you have to be in control, even because a kid, if it's too water, it can overflow. It's a medium that really takes time, patience, and control, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So, do you still dabble in watercolors still now, or are you just mainly acrylics?
No, I absolutely love acrylics. I didn't think I would at first. My first acrylic painting, I actually ditched it and had to start all over. It was the first one, the version of the girl right here, this one here.
Oh, I love her, yeah.
And it took me forever to do that. And again, that was the second attempt.
Right.
And for some reason, I noticed that, I don't know if anybody else notices this, but for some reason, I just feel like it just pushes, their acrylics just push around on the paper or the canvas, and I get all these lines. And I kind of like, what is going on? It took me forever to figure it out. And believe it or not, one time I decided, well, I'm trying other things. And then I discovered that some of the opaque colors, especially like titanium white, is so opaque. If you mix just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit with any other transparents, it's amazing how all of a sudden that color just goes right across. It like behaves a lot more like watercolors in a way. Like it just goes down smooth, and then you don't get the ridges so much.
Right. Nice.
So that's what I've been doing. So pretty much when you see any of the bold colors, I end up adding a lot more titanium white, especially with the first layers, and it just goes down nice and smooth.
That is awesome. So there's a tip for you guys already out there for acrylics that might want that. Hey, if you guys are struggling a little bit, maybe you should add a little bit of, your opaque titanium whites. I mean, I just think that's really awesome. And we got a lot of people in the Artist Corner that have tried, maybe not tried acrylics, and maybe that might help you more. And I love to give out art tips during our shows as well to our wonderful Artist Corner family and viewers, because, you know, I try to inspire them to always try new things. And yeah, I love acrylics. And then I found oils, and I, you know, I don't know if you've ever tried that yet, but I was like, oh, wow. Okay. But, you know, it's awesome to hear that you fell in love with acrylics. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And your work just pops right off the page. Bright, beautiful, bold pieces, guys. You guys are going to be so excited to see his stuff. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, do you want to get ready and we'll talk more through your wonderful work?
Sure. Sounds great.
Okay. Let me load that up for everybody here, and you guys can all give him a follow, and please do. So, Geoff, I don't know if you're on other socials than X and Truth. I just know you from those two places and in our wonderful artist corner, but it's Wistful World Art. I would imagine it's both on X and Truth. Are you on any other social medias that you want to shout out?
Definitely on Facebook. It's Wistful, oh boy. I'm trying to remember what the tag is. It seems like I had changed it at one point in my early on. So I think it's Wistful World Art is, I believe, what it's still at, unless I changed it. But you'll just search for Wistful World, you'll find it.
Right. You guys can go to his website. I'm sure that you can find that on those places as well too. So go check that out as well.
And Instagram is on there. I'm on Instagram as well.
Okay. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, we love having you in our Artist Corner family. So here we go, guys. You're in for a treat. So you get to tell us about each piece as we go.
Okay, so the first few, I believe, that we have are one of the early paintings I've done. I think I did just a few before this, much smaller. But really what really all kicked everything off is I really wanted to look at what other artists were doing. And I discovered that, and the name is Amedeo Modigliani.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's been a few movies about him too, but it's very, very fascinating. And he did these elongated figurative portraits for the most part, and they were kind of crude. You know, they weren't like, you know, high detail, but just I love the simplicity of it. So I definitely encourage people to look that up and you know, see what he's done. So I looked at that and I said, well, I posed the question myself: if Amedeo Modigliani had a cat, how would he paint it? And I would like Siamese cats, because I remember my grandparents up in New Hampshire had a Siamese cat, and in fact, I think my parents had a Siamese cat at one point. I always kind of remember those growing up. So I'm going to do a Siamese cat. So I said, if Modigliani had a cat, how would he paint it? Right. So I kind of mimicked one of his styles. There's a painting, I don't even remember what the name of the painting is, but he was wearing a yellow, I can't speak, a red tie, wearing a shirt just like that. And so I just kind of made this elongated Siamese cat, you know, elongated neck and face features. And so I just copied that and said, yeah, I kind of like that style. It kind of gave me a vibe of, you know, like a steampunk and something from the past, like we're in a different period of time.
Mm-hmm. Right. As you're talking about him, I'm like, I know this name, but it just couldn't place it. So I had to do a little quick search in the background from Amedeo Modigliani. And now I'm like, yes. Okay, I totally see what you're talking about. What a total honor. Oh man, that is really awesome.
Now, right? That was part. I want to go back and watch a couple of his movies. Now it's been a while, so now I want to watch it again.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. You get us all introducing us to a new artist. You know, if you guys don't know who that is, I mean, check that out. But this is a great honor. And it just, you know, I love that too, because I have some masters out there too that have completely inspired me. I don't paint what they do, but I'll take a little bit of this or a little bit of that and do my own thing. And you have definitely captured your own style here.
Right. So I don't go too deep into it, but I think people always struggle with what to paint. You know, I think I see that a lot, especially people learning, you know, starting off. I see it on Facebook groups and, you know, starting groups and stuff like that. And I see people trying to do all the typical stuff, you know, landscapes and flowers and stuff like that. And I did all that early on. I don't have many at this point, but I kind of got bored with it, to be honest with you. Like, you know, I don't mean offense to people that do that style. But I just feel like, yeah, I feel like it's been done a million times. Like I want to, when I do something, I want something that's completely different that you've never ever seen before. And doing the characters was a way to do that, you know. And that's why I guess so many people say, oh, you should just do, you know, children's books, or, you know, like do a story. I'm like, well, I guess that's cool, but I don't, for the most, except from the Siamese cats they did a few early on, I honestly don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I wouldn't want to do the same character throughout a whole book, you know. So like, to me, like every painting is its own thing with its own story.
Right. I can see that. And I really much like that too. I mean, you know, I do them every once in a while. I'll do something, you know, landscape, whatever, flower or whatever. But I really do like to do something totally different that you're like, what in the world? You know?
Right.
And you create your own signature. And you have definitely done that. This one is outstanding. Outstanding. So you do like the same kind of thing, but it's a totally different, you know, story, as we're seeing here too, right? We have another Siamese cat, but this is a, you know, definitely a female, and it's just awesome. Love the vibe.
A representation of Modigliani's wife, Jean Hepburn, something or other. Can't say her name. Hepburn, I think. And he did a portrait of her, and so I did kind of the same thing where I just kind of did a Siamese cat in a female form. Now, because I look at this stuff back in my early days, and of course, you're always kind of like your own worst critic, right? And I'm thinking, like, I can't stand why is the hat not over her head? You know, it's just like sitting behind her. So it's like, I don't know what that is. Whatever.
Just the way it's depicted. I mean, right? It's just really phenomenal. And one thing I think I really love too is I always say too is, you know, I inspire people with abstracts, for instance, and your backgrounds are very much that way. And it's, you know, you can just move paint around and create this amazing abstract just to have fun with the paint. And then you do your piece on top of it, and it adds so much, right? It just makes stuff right off the page.
You're right.
And I'm just loving it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Over the years, I typically don't get too crazy with the backgrounds because I'd rather just put my energy in the character. I don't know if that's good or bad, whatever. I just kind of get, you know, it's the whole thought of, you know, oh, well, I don't want to do another landscape for a backdrop because I've seen them, you know, so I try to make stuff a little bit more on the abstract side, you know, but lately with the acrylics, I am poking around with doing more backgrounds with, you know, shrubs, trees and stuff, but I do it in kind of like in you know, in a different style. Like they're elongated, you know, they have a wistful feeling about them, things like that. So I'm good about doing that.
Right. And you guys will see that coming up in his future work here. I love it. You know, I was kind of thinking there is a slight little bit of like Dali as when I see that too, when you do stuff that's a little whimsical and elongated. And I was like, oh man, that you're just taking that happiness in me with that as well. But you know, it's just amazing. It's just really beautiful, almost marbled in the background, but it helps this image, right, of our cat here just pop right off the page. I think
I just like to encourage people to don't be afraid to use the darks against the lights. And you know, it kind of creates that contrast easily. Like, you know, so in spots, you know, it takes a little planning about how you're going to do it. You know, like you see like kind of it's darker like on her shoulder, her right shoulder, where I made it very dark. So at least it contrasts with the orange and, you know, the fur of her shoulder, you know, because if I made it a very light background, you wouldn't see that as well.
Right. So we have a question. So how long does it take you to create one of your paintings?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, you know, like early on, I'm not sure if I can really remember, you know, I know they take a while. These probably weren't, you know, too bad, you know, probably, you know, a week or two. But, you know, honestly, my more newer detailed stuff, I'm lucky if I can do 2 to 4 paintings a whole year.
There, right?
Yeah, you know, and I have to admit, I do get jealous. I mean, some people just crank these colors out, like paintings out every other day, it seems like, you know, or, you know, the abstracts, you know, throwing the paint on the floor, spinning and stuff.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like,
you are not alone. You are not alone. I am working on this one, and so far it's like, we're going on to 3 months. So, and now I'm glazing, so there's gonna be another month, in this process. So yeah, I am not a speed painter, but I do admire ones that can kick out masterpieces in a few days, right? That is not me.
I think what I've taken the attitude lately that, it was bothering me, right? That it takes so long to create a painting, especially my newer stuff. I just got to the point where, you know what? I'm creating as long as I can, it's something I can do and just kind of chip away at it, rather than trying to do something, every other day of spitting something out. Rather just kind of just focus on it, hone in on one little area and make it perfect, and just be kind of happy with that. I kind of enjoy just taking those smaller steps, doing a bigger piece.
Right. I love it.
So you'll see me I'll post more progress pictures rather than finished pieces on my social media.
I know. I see that. And I love that you do that. And you highlight a certain zone, and we'll get to that. I think it's your final piece. And I've been noticing that too. And you talk about that. And you're like, oh, I can't forget this. And we'll bring it up again. But that's another thing too. And I had another artist here too that decided to break up their picture and just zoom in on certain areas. I think that's really cool if you guys ever want to do that and just continue to tell a little bit apart about making that certain zone. I think that you're great at this, Geoff. So absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Man, this is so good. This is acrylic?
This is all watercolor.
Watercolor. That's what I thought, because I'm like, it looks like watercolors. I'm like, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, you can definitely see the watercolor in this because it's very more translucent.
That's why I asked. I was like, I don't know how you're manipulating these acrylics. No, this is a beautiful watercolor. Look at this.
Yeah, okay. Again, so like in hindsight, I wish I had made that character, especially the bicycle, pop out a lot more. It is kind of, I don't know, it feels like it's watered down a little too much. It's not quite as of a contrast I would like, especially for this cold steel of the metal of the bicycle. But it still works. I mean, it's definitely one of my top sellers when I'm doing prints and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh,
that one still is. I still have that. I actually, believe it or not, I did 2 versions of it. One is wearing pants and one's not wearing pants. I don't know why, but this one is hanging in fact, it's right here.
Nice. Look at that. Oh, awesome.
Like a glare. There you go. Something like that.
Right. So I can see that. Look at that. That is just really awesome. Nice. Great matting, because that really is a great color for that piece. That just makes that whole piece pop out.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to another discussion.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Let me put this down. I think, I enjoyed the watercolors. I like the fluidity of doing them, but honestly, as I got going down the road, I found the watercolors, outside of painting them, they're such a nightmare to deal with. When you're doing shows, you have stuff behind glass, you got to deal with the mat boards, you got to deal with the frames. I remember doing a painting that was matted and framed. I spent way more on the framing and the mat than I did on the painting itself. And so then, quite a few years later, still doing watercolors, I finally said, I'm done with it. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to do watercolors, but I can come up with something else. So I started, and you'll see some of them coming up, where I take the watercolor and I use an acid-free adhesive, and I put it on a 1.5 inch cradle board and mount it. Now, it's definitely a cringy thing, that you're applying something, your watercolor, and if you can't mess up at all.
Right.
So you only have one shot at it, so you got everything, you got to mark it out exactly how you want it and everything else, and put that thing down, and you got to put your weights on that and make sure it stuck all the way through.
That's right.
And then I put at least 1 coat of Krylon. Actually, when at that point I was doing like 2 or 3 layers of Krylon acid-free clear coat over the top of it, and then I would just paint the edges of the cradle board, and I would sell it like that. And it was nice because it is, you know, ready to hang and sell and everything else. The downside is now you don't have that protection of the glass per se.
Right.
But that doesn't really necessarily matter, because I remember I did a show. I was hanging someplace. I'm not going to even mention where or what, but something happened where the place was, I'm not sure it was broken into or what, but at least two of my paintings, the glass shattered and it dung up the watercolor and everything else. So it kind of goes to show that it doesn't really matter if you have it. You still have the risk of damaging your art, even if it is behind glass.
Right. Exactly. And what a unique thing. And I know all about, as soon as you said weights, I'm like, oh yeah, I know all about that too, because I do a certain method and I have to protect it, weight it down, all that kind of stuff too. But yes, and you got to be precise. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, the rulers, you got to make sure, right? But I'm excited to see that technique. That is awesome, Geoff. Absolutely awesome. So
this one's always a weird one. This one, I believe, is called The Defeat of 147B, I think. Okay. It's either B or C. I can't remember. But this one always freaks people out because they look at it and they feel it's more of an abstract when they first look at it, because they can't get it, because you can't really tell that the cat is laying on a wall behind the bicycle.
I can do that.
So a lot of people get confused on this one.
Right.
And again, in hindsight, I would have made it more of a contrast. See, this is probably a good example of why you add contrast to something. Like in hindsight, the neck of that cat is too light of a color to that orange background behind it. Like you can't distinguish it that good, especially from a distance. So that definitely should have been more of a contrast, like a darker background to that, so that his light fur would pop out.
I see what you're saying. And if I was to sit there, like if I looked on that on the phone, yeah, you're right. Because in a smaller image, I would have said, oh, that cat's head's detached. But because I have a big screen, I can see that it's his neck right there. But, you bring up a good point. And we're very critical, I think, of our own work. But, it's always nice to sit there and go, I could have done this, and it probably would have made it look a little bit, make it pop out a little bit more. But I love this. I'm like, man, that cat is just having the best stress-free Saturday ever. Oh my gosh, I love it. So much fun with these. Man, what makes you come up with, besides being inspired by the masters before, what gives you good inspiration to sit there and come up with a certain piece?
Well, I'm not sure about necessarily with the cat, but I know like a lot of the figures that I do, believe it or not, a lot of the poses that I come up with, I just envision in my head, okay, what is the craziest possible pose that I could do? And with not knowing what's behind her or whatever he or she's doing, just create a pose, whether, and there's one bike called, what is it called? It's, extra. The extra big balloons one, where she's standing next to a machine that creates balloons, and she has her arms up, and I had no idea what she was going to be doing. And so it was after I drew the figure, that's when I, kind of came up with what was going on, and I just kind of put the elements of the balloons, the machine, and everything else around her. And so that's kind of, I found it because I found that I could be more creative of just doing the figure form, whatever I wanted to do, and then figure out what they're doing afterwards. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it worked for me.
Right. I have a question from the audience. They want to know how you did the wheels on this. And
so basically at that time, I believe I did use like a very fine brush for the spokes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously for the wheel, I would have used a compass or a 10 circle to but that was probably a compass to draw a very light circle. And then I would just watercolor, inside the two circles, and then I would just, I think at that point, I'm pretty sure I did those freehand with the spokes. Really? I was probably good at when I didn't have, pre-stroke.
There's no way. I would have been breaking out my rulers going, nope.
And honestly, that's what I do now. I do use a ruler to do the spokes when I'm doing them now.
Right. I have rulers of all kinds, man, just for this kind of purpose. But that is
Yeah,
amazing, guys. He did
I
them
think that people need to
freehand.
think that you don't need to be perfect. You need to just create an illusion of
Right.
things. So like if you look closely, those I'm sure all those spokes are uneven, not perfect. But if you just think of it as be consistently inconsistent with
Right.
everything that you do, because if it's consistently inconsistent, you won't notice it as bad. Versus if you have everything perfect, 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 and then one is completely out, guess what? That's going to stand out like a sore thumb.
Right. Right. I mean, I'm looking at the chat. There's like, I'm with you guys. I think they're like perfection. I even looked at my bigger, tab, and I'm like, Geoff, those look pretty good, man. I don't know. They don't seem too far out of whack, but
Yeah.
wow, how talented are you, my friend? That is awesome. Just phenomenal. And the details in the rock and in the gravel underneath on top, but I'm loving the pops of color behind him too. Just so many magnificent things in this piece. Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Man. So what, you do some really amazing bicycles. Is there something that you love about having bikes? Because I've seen a lot of your work contain that. So is there something that you just favor with bikes?
Yeah, I was an avid biker in my early years. I used to do a
Nice.
lot of biking, not high wheelers, of course,
Right?
but I just loved, the early age of bicycles and high wheelers and stuff like that. Now I try to make them a little more crazy, over the top, and weird looking. I try to make things very plausible, not necessarily like very realistic per se. Like if you look at that probably wouldn't work. But at least I make it somewhat believable, and that's all I truly strive for. You could argue like, well, would his hands really reach the pedal or the handlebars? Would his legs reach the pedals on this? I don't know. As long as it looks relatively close, no one's gonna really notice or care. They're just probably say, yeah, that looks pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I mean, that's the first thing I think of too, because your bikes every single one of them are so unique, as unique as the characters you create. So it's not just, hey, I've created this cat or this figure, this human. Everything about your work. The bike is also a character in your work, and I love the uniqueness, man.
Yeah, it is. This one's called "Wanna Ride" is the name of this piece.
Yeah.
Early on, I didn't do a lot of storytelling on the early paintings. I did that later on. And of course, unfortunately, I can't remember all the stories. I've done so many now. But if you go on my website, there's a little eye button. When you open up the image, in the gallery, there's an eye for information. It'll show you the whole story.
Awesome. That is really cool. I love that. I don't know who's done your website, but man, is that you doing your own website?
Yeah, I do. I've done so many. Now this is just my website. Now is just a WordPress. Did one completely on my own, scratch built and everything else. But it's hard to get all the benefits of something like WordPress because there's a lot of ties into SEOs and everything else. So I'm like, well, why? I'm not going to battle it. My old site before, like 2 sites ago, it was like a Joomla site, and it was just it worked, but it was just way overcomplicated for what it was. A lot of overhead that was kind of heavy on all the mechanics behind it. So I kind of ditched it. That's why I went something simpler, and then I ended up going to WordPress, which is probably just as bad as Joomla at this point. I don't know.
I don't know. I need to spend time, and that is something I really need to get to. But I love that you can click on your stuff and you can see like a story that goes with it. How unique is that, guys? It's really amazing. You've done an excellent job with your website. Again, you guys can check out that right there. But this is so beautiful. I mean, I love it. I love the contrast with these wonderful bright tones in the back, but yet subtle. And then your bright contrast of that blue against, the pinks and the yellows. I mean, it's just really phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it is key to keep your backgrounds on the light side. I need to set that in my mind because I did not follow that rule at the last painting I did. And I think it came out really good, but I just feel like, man, there's not enough. Well, there's plenty of contrast, but there's not much of a I don't know what you want to say. There's too much. The background's too busy. It kind of collides with all the what's going on the foreground. You know, so I wish I made it lighter on the background, but it's done. It's done. I'm not going to go back to it.
Well, I love it. You guys will see it. I think you're doing great. So, you know, but I'm a huge fan of your work. Oh, and now we got start getting into some of your amazing figures as well.
Yeah. So this, believe it or not, this was the very first painting I did with a figure with the cat. And so that was kind of my transition into the figure of, you know, doing figurative work. You know, so, you know, this is a word. This one is called the libasm. So L-I-B, libasm, whatever it is. So basically, libasm means love is blinded and sometimes misguided is an acronym. And so, you know, you can I tend to kind of put enough of a story into somebody's mind that they can kind of create their own. I just set the tone, and then they can just make up mind what they're doing. Like, why on earth is there a duck sitting on a perch with a tip jar hanging below him with duck goop hanging all over it? Why is he blinded? He's smoking a cigarette. You know, like I just said anything else that could make it weird. That's all I did.
Oh my gosh. And I think that's what makes it so fantastic. I mean, even her outfit, you know, I mean, everything about this is just so, like you said, it's whimsical. It's so much fun because it makes you go, what in the world is going on here? And you smile and you chuckle and, you know, you're like, there's just something not right, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, so you see, a lot of people don't realize that this is an actual, not a real actual, but you know what I mean? It's a bicycle. If you look at it, there's a chain, there's pedals, and everything else. You know, but again, I make it's not super realistic, but it's plausible. You know what I mean? You know, that front wheel's really cantered, kind of weird. Would it actually work? I don't know. You know.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. This is so much fun. I just sit there and I smile. You know, I love some good abstract. I love that you found this style and you're having so much fun. That's what I think when I see your work. I'm like, man, whoever created this just had a blast. Yeah. You know, because they're like, it doesn't need to go together, but I'm going to put it together anyway. And I'm going to make you think, I'm going to make you whatever, right? I'm going to make your eyes pop with beautiful color and then intricate details. I mean, just phenomenal.
Yeah, I didn't get rid of this one. This one is actually for my younger son. So I created my paintings and I gave at least one of my good big paintings to my 4 children. You know, so this one is for my younger son. It's still hanging in our living room because he's still staying with us right now.
Right. You know, I have some of the pieces too that I just, you know, I don't know, especially if you're doing a transition piece. I was going to ask you, is it hard to ever give away or sell something when you're like, okay, this is like the beginning of when I started to do something?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, once I started getting into the whole thing of these, you know, these characters of the, you know, the whole Modigliani thing and these bicycles and stuff, I immediately knew this is what I want to do. I could go nonstop. I could paint every day. I just love it. And the problem is, I don't know, is I love all my paintings. I don't want to sell my paintings. I'd love to hang them all on my walls, you know, but again, I have to make a living somehow, you know, so yeah, so it's unfortunate. So I guess I'm not going to say like how much it is sold, but I did one piece. I just finished it. You'll probably be showing it in a bit. Mm-hmm. And I did not want that to sell. I just finished it. It's very detailed. It's very similar to these. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to go into a show. It had to be for sale for whatever reason. It had to be, you know, for sale. So I just put some ridiculously high price on it, thinking like, no one's going to buy this.
And it sold.
It sold.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You'll have to give everyone marketing tips, you know, and that's one thing too that I mean, I see it all over the place. And like I said, you're putting little bits here, little bits that you're telling stories. You add really funness to it too. Like when we get to your last one, you're like, I can't, you know, we're going to talk about that, but you're like, oh, we have to add this to it. And oh, it needs a basket. And oh, you know what I mean? You're telling these really whimsical, funny stories with your stuff, but you're promoting yourself like crazy. And I mean, congratulations on selling your artwork, my friend.
Yeah, I was going to dress up today because I normally, when I was doing my shows, and especially this is my, because I was known as SteamFolk. Yeah, SteamFolk in my early years. I switched over to Wistful World. The reason being is I kind of felt that the SteamFolk was a little bit too heavy on the steampunk vibe.
Right.
And I didn't feel like I didn't want to do that forever. I didn't want to be so restricted to a genre of a steampunk feel. As much as I love it, I didn't want to do it all the time. So that's when I started. I finally wanted to branch out and try something different. And so that's when I went to Wistful World. My steamfolk.com still points to Wistful World. You know, so it's still the same thing. But I found the Wistful World was more of an it kind of encompasses everything, if you will.
Yes.
And so that's why I kind of went that way.
I agree. That's awesome. All right, tell us about this one.
Yeah. Oh boy, I can't remember the name. This is called the Monkey Express. And so yeah, again, it's just one of those things where you just make it as crazy as possible. So if you notice, it's a contraption that two monkeys is propelling on this thing with a propeller above it. And supposedly these monkeys are supposed to like steer this thing. I have no clue. The story tells about it, but it's actually kind of funny because the story talks about how one monkey pedals faster than the other monkey, and therefore it would just end up coming back in circles all the time. So basically being named the Monkey Express, it's like a mail courier thing. You can see there's another monkey that's kind of by her leg, really close up. You can see it, and it's got a little pole. The monkey's holding a pole with a little package of envelopes, like handing it to the other monkeys. You know, so a lot of people don't see that third monkey's there. So yeah, so it's just kind of weird. Like why her hair's like that, I don't know. I just think of the weirdest things I can do. Yeah, that's essentially what I do. I essentially said, I want to make something weird. Then I think of it, and then I say, all right, that's okay, but how can I even make it more weird?
Right?
So I go by with that rule every time where I just say, I want to make it weird. Okay, now how do I make it more weird?
Right? I'll tell you what, and I take this as a huge compliment, but I'm like, man, you could totally work for like Tim Burton. I mean, you just have this kind of like, how crazy can I make this, but also make it so much fun? And I look at that third monkey and I'm like, he's got to be the manager, right?
Yeah, right.
Wait, you're going in circles, you're whatever. I mean, her hair, her outfit. I mean, it's just like, this is awesome. This is just so cool.
Yeah, I just like the contrast of the lights and the dark. You see, I use a lot of whites and black, stripes or checker patterns on the materials, bold colors and stuff, because it kind of goes against the pale skin of the characters.
Right. That is awesome. Now, do you draw this out kind of first? I mean, or is this just kind of on the go?
Yeah, a lot of people ask about that. Like, so do you practice? Do you do, so I do a quick sketch of what I have in my head, but there's one point where I just kind of like break out and say, no, I know it's going the right direction. I'm just gonna start slinging paint. Now, I have a friend that is an artist, and he's trying to get into more practicing and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I have to be completely honest with you. I don't really practice painting. I know this sounds bad, but I feel like I'm just wasting my time. I know that's stupid, but I just want to create. I just want to get to the real thing and just start doing it.
Right. I'm with you. I mean, I might I was talking about this last night. I might do like the basics, like, because I want, a certain proportion with the face or whatever. And I will literally do a minimal sketch just to, to get those in the area I want them. And then the rest is just, let's go,
right.
And it's just because I want to have the fun. I want to just whatever, and I'm kind of with you. And no disrespect to anybody who sketches beforehand.
Absolutely.
I love you guys like crazy. But for me, I'm just like, let's get busy. Let's just have some fun. Because if I had to do it like twice, I don't know if it would even come out the same way. And I think I'd drive myself crazy.
Right. So early on, I would do that a lot. I would sketch it out, and then many times, a smaller thing I would sketch out, but then I gotta reproduce that on a bigger piece of watercolor paper, and that was just daunting to me. It's like I don't like doing. I did it for years, but you'll see that like the most recent one, I actually bought a cheap projector, and now I do my quick sketch on a small 8.5 by 11. And then I just project the thing on my painting. Now, I'll do the background first completely, and then I'll just project the image right over the top of it and just start painting. In fact, the first time I did it, I just traced it lightly with a pencil. But that's the most current one. I actually just started painting while the projector's on and just blocking out,
Right.
I just like titanium white or like a beige or some color just to block off the areas.
That is awesome.
There's pros and cons. Like when you do that, though, you got to be really careful not messing up your backgrounds. It's okay if you got very just kind of plain colors in your backgrounds, but if you'll notice, a majority of my painting, especially from like the midpoint and downward, I use a lot of speckled effects, so it creates a lot of texture. And so I got to be really careful about I get it right the first time when I start painting, because I can't reproduce that speckling effect very easily. You can do it, but it's not easy.
Right. So you got my heart all happy with the projector. So those old school ones that we all grew up with, right? Yep. That literally, that's what my husband got from like these art school auctions, and he just made my whole world, because he's like, hey, you can project your stuff, and then got me clear film sheets, right? That the t-shirts would use. And so I just take some black pens and whatever, and I draw like my basics and project it onto my huge canvases so I can get my eyes and whatever mouth's going. And then I'm like, I'm good. But I'm like, I love these old school projectors. And yeah, they're huge and they're bulky, but so are my canvases, And I'm like, oh, I love it. So when you said that and you described that, you were just making my heart so happy, because I'm like, I totally do the same.
Yeah, you can actually find them, whether anywhere, Amazon or whatever, and you can find them for a good, I think I paid like $35 for mine, and it was not high resolution, but I didn't care. I wasn't like going to be putting outside and showing movies to my family. It's just for one purpose thing, just going for pretty much just across a room, just to project an image. So I didn't really care if it was like perfect, just to get an idea of the image that I could trace easily. So that's why I say I don't. If people want to go that path, I say don't worry too much about the quality of it per se. Just make sure that it works well.
Right. I love this. So there's a question for you. How big is this piece?
That is, I believe, a full sheet of watercolor paper, which would probably be like somewhere around probably about 28 inches from top to bottom, and probably about 18 to 20 inches wide.
Yep.
It's essentially a full sheet of watercolor. And that's probably the limiting thing of watercolor. I mean, unless you're going to get on huge rolls, which I have done, but.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Now, when it comes to watercolor paper, I want to tell the audience, if you're into watercolors, one thing that was a complete game changer is I was using Arches, 140-pound paper. And of course, at that point, I think they only had really like soft press, which is more, not soft press. There's hard press, which is very, flat and hard, and not hard, but smooth. And then you have the cold press, which is very rugged, and it's very hard to paint, especially for a beginner over that rugged terrain. The other, I'll have to send you what the brand is. It's called soft press, and it's halfway between hard press and cold press. It's called soft press. Fabrino, I believe, makes it, and unbelievable how much better you can do with that. Just that one something in the middle.
Yes, I agree with you. The paper makes it. It's like the canvas, right? Or whatever you're using. The paper makes it. It really does. I agree with that. On whatever you do, you can almost even sometimes get away with cheaper actual material. I mean, your paints and whatever, if you get in the really good paper or canvas, because it can really make a huge difference. And I'm with you. Welcome to the show, Rockstardom 17. He says, this is super cool. I'm a fan. I'm a fan too, if you guys cannot tell. I love you guys in this group. And the thing I love about you guys in this group so much is that you're all so different and unique. That just makes me so happy. And you are definitely unique, my friend. Is this the one you're talking about with the balloons?
This is the one.
Love it.
Yeah, so I pretty much I drew that figure out without even knowing what she was doing, which is just weird. I don't know why or how I came up with that, and then I just kind of said, okay, well, it looks like she's probably holding a string or something, you know. So then I kind of made it more of a steampunk, carnival style thing with the balloons and stuff like that. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much it, you know. And I think you can see where I was really trying to get a little more contrast. You can see, those scissors would only really show up nicely if you had something solid behind it, so it
Right.
sticks out. So that's why I kind of put in these weird washes of darks and lights to make things pop out more. But I don't want to you don't want to make it all one color dark to light. You want to find lost and found edges is really what you want to do when it comes to a lot of stuff. You want some things kind of hidden a little bit that you kind of that kind of looks like something. Anybody wants some things that you want more vivid, that you want things more focused on. You kind of make those lines more crisp and clear.
I love it. I'm just we've got some new people, and I'm like, they said this one's your favorite, and so I had to ask you a question. Lilyton, I love it. They said this. I'm like, do you know them? Are they part of your family?
Yeah, Lillington.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Oh, welcome, sweetie. She said this is her favorite. I was wondering that, and I'm so good. They're over here cheerleading you, and I'm so glad. You guys are amazing support. This is awesome. And she says this is her favorite. There's little bits that just, like you said, there's these little nuggets that you can just go and find. Like the sheer on the bottom of her pants. I'm like, it's phenomenal, and then you find these little doohickeys off of the drum, and the scissors hanging. There's just so much fun going on in your work. I think that's what's so exciting about that.
Yeah.
Another question. So they want to know, how small have you ever created? And then how large have you ever created?
I don't know. Early on, I probably did really small one, more of the landscape stuff. I can't even remember where those are or those, but like newer style. I probably like these 12 by 12 ones behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one over, here, this top one here. That's 12 by 12. Now that's using the method of watercolor paper, and it's mounted on only, I think it's a 1-inch
right
cradle board.
Nice.
Yeah, so
there you go. Nice.
Yeah. Again, you just gotta be careful. So I pretty much do the Krylon spray, which kind of locks in the color. And I actually used what was it called, boy? It was called a wax coating over the top of it, and that worked pretty good. But
right, there's another tip for you guys. Wax coatings are awesome. You guys need to check into those if you've not tried those before. Very cool. Very cool. Right, it's true. That's right. His elongated head matches the balloons. Right, it's so cool. Oh man, it is so much fun. Man, I'm glad you guys are enjoying these as much as I am. I'm super excited. Oh, tell us about this piece.
I was just talking to my wife about this one.
Oh yeah. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun, but I don't know. It's kind of you hate to be a critic, but I'm not actually thrilled about this piece. I love the concept of it and everything else like that, but I don't really care for her hairstyle, her face. There's something about it just kind of creeps me out. So it's not one of my favorite. I like what it accomplished in terms of the mechanics and everything else. What was this one? So this is basically called Lizzie Rides the Cog. And her name was Lizzie Bourne. You can see on the name of her on the little blimp going behind her. And so basically she's on a machine where she kind of pedals up and down, and it makes the cog go. And you can see the little thing on the cog wheel on the front wheel. So if she has to stop, there's an emergency lever that you can use to stop so it won't roll back. So it can only go forward, it can't go backwards. And so that was the whole premise of that. There's a little story with that. So you have to check the story of that one. So basically, a lot of these, I base them on real people that existed in time.
Mm-hmm.
The names are real, but I twist their story. They don't look like the person, but I kind of twist their story to kind of fit what I'm trying to do.
Right. Have you, now that you've mentioned that you're not necessarily happy with certain aspects of this, have you ever reworked something or thought, okay, I need to go back in, or once it's done, it's done?
Generally, it's done. It's done. Recently, I had somebody come from like the East Coast, bought one of my paintings, and then she had to move, and was going to a very small place. She couldn't deal with artwork. She didn't have the space or the whatever to do it. So she actually took the thing out and rolled it and shipped it back to me for nothing. She didn't want her money back or anything. And then I took it out and I actually took that and mounted on a cradle board, and I re-inked the whole thing so that we'll probably show it up here. I inked it completely so that it was much more contrast from the lights to the dark. So you would see the edges of everything. Like now, if I did this paint again, I would have inked most of the whole thing, especially the dress behind her, so it really stands out between that background and the foreground.
That is right. It's just, I agree. I love it. And I'm with you guys. They're all just shouting this out. I don't know who Toad is over there, Toad Houghton, but he said over there on YouTube, you got your family, everyone. And he says he was drawing odd characters way back in childhood.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Oh, hi, Dad. I love it. I love it. Well, welcome family, and you guys are doing awesome. But I'm with you, Donna. I mean, that balloon too is really, I was going to say the bomb, and it is, it's a bomb. It's just so awesome, right? And I love the carrier. It's just so many great things in this piece. It just, the legs and the mechanicals of this like spider look. Your imagination is phenomenal. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, again, it's just making stuff somewhat plausible that it's possible. Not that it can happen, but yeah, I can see that maybe happening. I mean, they make elliptical machines, and that's essentially what you're doing for the most part.
Right? Wow. Absolutely cool.
I'm glad you're showing this one. I did rework this one. This is another one. Now, this is an example of my story I told you before about at a show. And these are the two, and especially the guy, his name is Ed Law, is the person that got shattered, glass broke, and it ripped part of the surface. Not bad. I was able to protect it or fix it good enough. But when that happened, I'm like, that was just a proof to me that no, I am not doing stuff behind glass anymore. So I took them out of the things completely. And hold on.
Okay, there we go.
You can see this is the piece. So this was behind glass, and then I mounted it on a cradle board. And then so you can see the original didn't have like these bold lines on the edges. Can I stand this up? Yeah. So I actually inked all this. So that actually pops out a lot more.
Amazing. That is amazing. Love it. That is awesome. I'm so glad you did that, because you're right. It really does make it pop out way more.
Yeah. So, I definitely encourage people just to kind of go bold, So these two are these are husband and wife hunting the gawk. It was Ed Law. And, he really existed in real life. And I ended up then research them, and I just twist their story. So it's not exactly what he was, so he's got a long necked greyhound, and he's hunting for eggs, and, and you have to read the stories. It talks about it. And, and then his wife, Jane Digby was her name.
Right.
And the stories are kind of tied together if you read them. But they're only like, just a small paragraph. I don't want to make the stories too long, because it just, people don't want to sit there and in a gallery reading these long stories. So I just kind of set the tone, get people thinking.
Right. I think they're phenomenal. I'm just over here just in love with so much of the details, guys. You might be missing it because it's just so much fun. But I'm like, look what's in her hair. Look at the details of the butterfly on the dress. Look at the chain, right? On his wonderful, beautiful vest sweater.
Yes,
Like,
you can
this is
see
awesome.
you can see behind her, she's got a device that strapped to her shoulders or behind
Right?
her, and these three poles that go up, and then string that come across to her head, and those strings are tied to her hair to make her hair stand up and more, more pronounced.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so great. I know there has got to be stories. I mean, even if you guys weren't, if you weren't there to like read the stories per se, one thing I love about these pieces is you can just sit there and even imagine the stories going on because it just invites you to.
Sure.
Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, what did you say? A different. Yeah, I think so too. So rock stardom. I'm glad that you're here, just putting out some great input here. But he said the difference between a good artist and a great artist is the great ones have a story to tell. I mean, and I think that's a great thing. A lot of your guys' work has one. Whether you're taking us away on a beautiful adventure or vacation, or something just pops and you're like, oh my gosh, these two characters are hilarious.
Yeah, I
Something.
like doing a creative name. I know a lot of artists just kind of just like, I don't know, figure one and figure two, the title of their piece. And I'm like, well, why? I like, give it a story, make it memorable, when you're doing a show, talk about it, just, you have to market yourself and just go crazy. You just, and when I do shows, when I don't do them quite so much now because because I had the strokes, but I would be dressed. I debate whether not to wear it. I have a steampunk outfit head. It's got these special goggles and everything else I used to wear. But I would, yeah. So I basically just do these shows, and I would never sit down. I was always standing, engaging with the customer because I figured everybody's a potential customer. The worst thing you can do is sit in a booth with your art and sitting on it reading a book behind your booth. That is the big no-no in any show. I encourage you, just get out there and talk. I know some people in this day and age, a lot of people don't like talking.
I love to talk. Exactly.
But if you can get something to relate to something, you generally can get people talking.
Exactly. And I love that. Put out the piece that you think or whatever is going to drag more people into the like, wait a minute, what's that? Or, oh, wow. Or whatever you guys might say, but you want something that's going to start the conversation that brings them to you, and I love that, whenever I have my work in a gallery and is showing, I always, don't even say before the talk or they introduce me or whatever, I walk around and just hang out behind people, and find out what what draws them in and have a conversation. I'm, oh, hey, you like that one? And just, I'm like, oh yeah. And then later on, they're like, oh, you're the artist. I'm like, but that's how I get conversations. That's how I get input, what drew you into that piece, and watch them have fun. I also suggest people, don't necessarily read the stories and the descriptions, first. Go and experience this and have some fun with the piece, and then read the,
see if it aligns with what was in your vision and the story that you created versus what the artist envisioned.
That's right. Because that might mean something to you. You might be making up your own story. So, and that's the great thing about viewing art. You might be going off to Paris on some, wonderful, beautiful landscape. You might be over here going, oh my gosh, these two, I can't even imagine their lives, right? I mean, just look at this dog.
Yeah.
Right. This is so much fun. We are having a blast with you, Geoff. This is awesome. And a little quick shout out to Hockey. Thank you so much, honey. I appreciate that with your wonderful support over there on Rumble. All right. Let's look at the vibrance of this. Oh my gosh. Tell us about this.
Yeah, that is an oversized, long-necked weevil that she's holding. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Ah, boy, I'm not sure if I have. You know, I just was recently playing with just the contrast again. You know, and it was definitely more of a, I don't know, more of a goth punk style than a steampunk style, I think. But you know, so you know, there, yeah. But again, there's a little story with that one too. That
Right.
one that made the cover of a. I'm not sure if it was a literally, sorry, I can't
A
say the
liter
word. Is a publication that they did, and they put it on the cover. Unfortunately, when they created it, they stretched the image to fit the cover, and it made her wicked wide and looked weird. So that was
Oh,
a little weird.
right. What kind of publication was this?
Well, I've been on a couple of them. It was I can't remember. I don't. I'd have to go back and look. I
Was it
have it.
an art was an art publication?
It was mainly more of a for like reading. You know, literal. I can't say. I say literally, but it's lit like writing books and stuff. You know, people writing short stories and stuff.
Right.
And I did
Literary.
have another one, same style. It's called Meat for Tea. Is the group, and they're out of, I believe they're out of Northampton or Amherst, Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I still keep in touch with them, and you know I did shows with them. So yeah,
Right.
so that was fun.
So I'm hearing that this one won the Hartford Open.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, it did actually.
Right.
Yeah,
That
so
is
yeah, so
aw-
I yeah, and I did it. Oh, and I actually that's the same one. So it got into it won that, and then it was something else about too, where an artist did a story based of that painting, and he read
really.
it. I can't remember what they call it, but it's some type of literary thing, and they
Right.
just read it to the audience. It was down in North. Sorry, it was in Hartford, Connecticut.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. I'm also hearing you have a twin sister you did a painting of as well.
Uh, I
Is
don't
that
know
what
if I did a painting of her or not, but I
oh,
do
you
have
did
a.
a sketch. You did a sketch of your
Oh,
twin
I probably
sister
did a sketch. I
with
probably
hair.
did that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I have a
thank
twin
you.
sister. She's
Your, your
I'm
family's here telling stories for you, man.
yeah, I know. We're 13 minutes apart.
Nice. Awesome. Congratulations. I think that is just phenomenal. That is awesome. We love it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
JJ, winning, winning. Phenomenal work. Okay, explain this to us.
Oh, this one hangs in my bedroom, and this was kind of something I did more for my wife actually. Um it it's called Admit To, and you'll see that there's a movie ticket in the large snail's hat,
Right?
and I created a ambigram on that ticket. You can see the two images at the top.
Mhm.
The one on the left is my wife Michelle, and if you flip the thing over, it says Joffrey. So it's an
Right.
ambigram.
Right. Oh, that is so cool.
So that one's end up. That's kind of a keeper. It's kind of a movie theme. It was for kind of represent. For my I don't know. It's just kind of honoring my wife and I, and
That
the
is
characters don't
awesome.
like a meaning towards to us or anything, but just in general.
That is so neat. That is so neat. I see that your family is a huge support of you. I'm sure she's absolutely in love with your work. So, what was her reaction when she saw this, knowing that this is basically done for her?
Oh yeah, she loves this one.
Oh,
And so it hangs in our bedroom, and she always likes having that there, and so I won't get rid of that one.
right. Now, the top hats on the top, is this just one piece that you have created here?
What do you, so
The,
yeah,
the top,
so that the bottom big image, that is the painting, and those two
okay,
smaller cutouts are blow-ups of the
gotcha.
on the hat of that snail. If you zoom in,
Okay.
you'd be able to read that, but you can't
Yeah.
easily see it from like this distance. So that's why I did the blow off, so you can easily see that that it flips upside down so you could read it upside down and see my name versus my wife's name.
And that's what I was kind of thinking, because I was wondering if you literally had painted that part as a blow up on top of this piece. So now I'm with you on that. You just literally,
yeah, that was just a show for presentation.
Beautiful, very nice, right? I love it too, right? So wonderful to honor your wife. And loving the colors as well, guys. Thank you so much for your comments and compliments. Artist Corner family and more. Man,
yes, thank you.
Right, this is so great. Mom is Lilyton says Mom is here with me. She says this is her favorite. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. I love that your family's here to tell us these little bits, but your wife says that it's her favorite. Awesome. That is awesome. And we'll say thank you, family, for being here to give such support as well. But I thought, right, this is superb. It's unbelievable, his intricacies on this. I agree with you guys. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly easy to do that. Like believe it or not, that background with the movie things on the side was very annoying. I think that goes into my dislike for doing complicated backgrounds.
That is amazing. I love the little additions too of the film and everything.
Yeah, that was the idea that it's going to look like an old film. It was kind of decrepit and old style. So that's why I kind of did, the runs of the watercolor. I think that's just like a sepia ink kind of thing.
Man, that is awesome. Awesome. So before someone asks, did you freehand that film edge?
Nope, I drew that out. Yeah, I measured it out, drew it all out, and did it. Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
I was just waiting for it in the chat. How did he do the film edges?
Use a straight edge to draw it out. Then I would measure it and just space them out and just go slow and steady.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We love it. Oh, take us on this wonderful ride.
Yes, Bianca's Bubble Bike is named this. Now, this one's not based on a character, a real life character. But I will say that is definitely by far the most popular one that I did over the years.
Really?
One of my older daughter has this hanging up in her living room. It's the one that she chose. And this is one of the ones we look at. I love it. I actually don't have any qualms about it in terms of how it came out per se. I wish the ground area was a little bit darker of a contrast. It's a little too light for me, but overall I'm very pleased with it. But so basically she's just riding a bicycle. She's got a bubble machine behind it. It's got a lever, if I can say,
right,
and creates the bubbles as she's riding.
I'm like, so because it's small for me right here. Is that a fish that's blowing out the bubbles?
Nope. That's just
something bigger.
Just a contraption that.
Okay, I see it now. Okay,
yeah,
tiny. I was like, oh my gosh, no, I can see it. It is a little contraption. She just kind of pulls the lever from each side, and man, I need that bubble maker. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can come up with. Just start kind of doodling out something, and just like, okay, what could make that work, and just make it look weird. And okay, it's not too bad coming up with stuff,
No, you are just ingenious with your imagination. And this is so vibrant against the beautiful pastels in the back. Those bubbles are phenomenal just in their own right. But I just love that big fuchsia, dress she's wearing. The hat is so whimsical too. I mean, you do. Who inspires you on the clothing, by the way, because you come up with some of the most unique outfits I've ever seen, but they're awesome.
Well, unfortunately, he killed himself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was Alexander McQueen is one of them. I absolutely love the styles that he created. It's such a shame that he passed away such a young age. But his stuff is just over the top crazy. And I wouldn't, I would just use it as inspiration per se. I just love the fact that it was just so over the top. And, I kind of wish a lot of my stuff is actually not necessarily over the top. It's more the contraptions are over the top.
Right.
If you look at like, this one here is actually not that complicated. She just wears like it's just kind of a colorful dress, but not necessarily over the top crazy.
Right.
Like
I had to go look that up. I am really sorry that, he took his life too, but I love to see your references. And now that I'm looking up Alexander McQueen, I can see a little bit of that influence that you got. And I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome to see who's inspiring you. I'll tell you that. And thank you for letting us know who that is. But, you've come up with, your own uniqueness to it as well. You've taken a little bit and you've ran with it. And it's just amazing. Wow.
Okay.
Right. And I'm over here geeking out on this work, guys. So I'm sorry. I'm grabbing your comments and compliments, everyone. Sometimes, I got to sit here and stare at stuff myself. It is awesome. But I'll tell you what, our Artist Corner family and viewers are loving your work. Right? Just amazing.
Yeah, the balloon, sorry, not the balloons, the bubbles. You can see how I try to layer stuff. So when you're creating stuff, think about what's in the foreground and what's in the in the background, and you always, I try to always make things kind of shifted so that they're crossing their path in the viewing plane. So you can see how I'll put some bite bubbles are lighter, some are darker. You want to have some behind it just popping out, looking at just a little bit, because if you make stuff all the same color, similar size, and they're all not overlaying each other, that makes the painting look incredibly flat. So I always encourage, like, if you can create stuff in layers, it's just amazing, more of an effect you can get in depth to your paintings.
Right. I absolutely 100% agree with that. Because I definitely work in that as well. I love layers. It's probably one of the reasons it takes me so long, because I glaze in layers. And so I think it's right, because it gives it a depth, like you're saying. Another amazing tip out there, artists, sometimes you may need to work in layers. And this is really a great example. Well, they all are, but this is a really great example of that. Amazing. Yeah. I love it. And I'm going to ask you too, if you have a favorite piece. I know you have some that you love, but if one just is like, this one is by far my favorite, let us know that as well.
Yeah, I think you'll be showing it coming up. It will be my all-time favorite. This is definitely my all-time favorite.
Is it? Nice timing.
Yeah. Well, if I can remember the name of it, it's my favorite. I can't remember the name of the thing. Lizzie Returns to Center County is the name of it.
Wow.
So it's just a very short story where she's surveying the fairgrounds of an event that's coming up, and she's trying to figure out where things are going to be placed and everything else. So she hops on her bicycle, and if you can tell, a lot of people don't notice, but it is a bicycle. It's not like a motorcycle. And it's still in the shape of the geese.
Right.
So then I add a lot of color to it and stuff like that. And so she's just surveying the land, and she's got her feathered friends helping her guide her way. So again, it's just a matter of like, okay, again, it's gonna be somewhere like, oh well, yeah, I want to make the bike. It's like, well, that would look cool, make it a key, something like a goose or whatever. And then maybe I'll make some birds flying around. That looks pretty cool. Well, wait a minute. I need to have them do something. So why not make long hair and make the geese holding the hair? So again, just kind of thinking like, what can I do that, and how can I make it even more weird?
I love it. Your mind is awesome. How can I make it more weird? Have you guys in the chat, my artists, have you ever thought of that? How can I make it more weird? Maybe that might be something you should start asking yourself.
A lot of them has that same effect of the tail that is behind them. They always have holders for the dresses. I mean, because they're so long, Victorian. So I figured, well, there's got to be a way to hold them behind them. They don't touch the wheels or drag on the floor. So I make these crazy long trails behind them and make ways to hold the dress.
That's awesome. I'm hearing that this was on the front cover of Hartford County phone book for years.
That is correct. Yeah.
It's so cool. I never thought about a phone book literally having your art on it, you guys. I'm telling you, there is an avenue for your art everywhere and anywhere. That is so cool.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Just real quick, if you don't mind.
What's that? Oh boy.
How did you get it on the phone book? Did you
Yeah,
just
it's been a
go out and
while
say,
since
hey?
I did that piece. I'm not sure if I really remember if somebody contacted me, or
Okay.
I may have met them at a show. You know, a lot of people I will, meeting in person is obviously the best way to go when you're doing shows. I just wish I could drive. I can't drive anymore because I don't have a driver's license because I lost half my vision. So,
Right.
I wish I could do more, but I can't, because that's the best way is interacting with people
Get out there.
and getting them, relating to them and telling them the stories of your work and stuff. And you can make a lot of friends doing that quickly.
Right. I agree. Get out and get yourself known. You are your best promoter. I'll tell you that. You're basically your only promoter. So get out there and make yourself known.
Yep.
I love everything about this. This is so great. This is so whimsical, right? Got the ducks literally carrying and the duck fight.
Yeah, and again, I didn't focus on the backgrounds on these. I just kind of like, all right, just do my normal thing and then just focus on the character and let the character do its work.
Right? I think that's great. That is so great. Man, so much fun in this one. And I love the contrast. Don't you guys love the contrast from the tone down to the, like, her dress, right? So bold. It just makes her pop right off the stage. Loving the contrast and the intricate details. That is awesome.
Yeah.
How big is this piece by chance? Is this one of your bigger pieces? It just looks like
it's a full sheet of watercolor. So it's, around something like around 28 by, the 20 wide and probably about 20, 22 inches wide, I think, something along that lines.
Fun. Absolutely fun. Oh my gosh. So amazing. Absolutely beautiful. So do you still have this one?
That one sold.
That one really.
Yeah.
That must be hard to do.
It is. I would have loved to have kept that one, but
Money's
that
money.
was a little early on. Yeah. It's one of those things where you kind of have to price your work, kind of see what your audience is, and kind of judge for what you think. It's so hard to price artwork.
Right.
And once you get a few sold, you quickly learn. It's not that you're trying to like rake people over the coals trying to sell something, but time is money. Right. I don't understand artists that give their paintings away, when you spend weeks or even months creating something, you've got to get some compensation for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would price what I thought would fit the thing. It would sell. Then I knew, well, that people liked it, so I'll probably, as I improve my skills in that process, I also increase the price a little bit, right. Each time.
Right.
You kind of just have to keep doing it if you want to make a living.
Yes. So Rockstardom had a question. He sees some typography. It says, I could be mistaken, but it says her name on it. On the very bottom, it says Lizzie
Eiling.
Right. And that's on the very bottom of the back leg. But
that's correct. That's her name.
That's right.
So she's somebody that really existed in life. I don't remember the story of that one. You can Google that name and you'll be able to find what she actually did. But chances are she was, somebody that was more of an entrepreneur, an explorer, somebody that was creative and willing to try things new. If you research it.
I love that. Right? That is absolutely amazing piece. We are loving it.
Yeah, so this is probably the next one. And this is the one that was kind of crazy that I finished it. I did not want to sell it. Took it to a show, put some crazy hard price on that sucker. Sure enough, it sold. Like, I just couldn't believe that. And it won the Barbara Shepard Award.
Congratulations.
There was some money involved with that, but I don't remember exactly how much it was. But yeah, that was definitely a popular one.
Right? There is so much going on. I'm looking at Laura in the back with the stuff. Right, but this is where you start with like, I mean, there's little things hanging, like the little kettle is hanging, right? And then we've got the monkey manager here again, you know.
Yep. There's a vulture trying to guide the way. The grub thing, I don't really know why I did the grub thing. That kind of goes outside the norm for what I would do. It's kind of I don't know what that kind of reminds me of in terms of, you know, it's kind of like a lowbrow style if you think of it, you know, in the art world. You know, why I did it, I don't even remember why I did it, but that's kind of what it reminds me of, something a little edgy, kind of a little bit outside of the steampunk genre.
Right. But it's awesome. I can just see there's just so much fun going on there, and the colors on this with, you know, the unique outfit with the beautiful colors of the dress, right? It's just amazing. But it's got, you know, I love the personalities of the monkey and the worm. They're just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a fun one. You know,
Right.
again, I make it plausible. So she's, you know, working the pedals to make the bike go. If you look, those long arms are kind of like a grasshopper, because if you look at her, that she's riding a machine that looks like a grasshopper.
Right.
And so then those are like the hind legs of the grasshopper, and they're connected to the wheels that make it move. So she pedals up and down and makes it go forward. Just plausible. It makes you think it might work, but who knows if it'll work.
Right. I think this is great. I know. Okay, right. Okay, let me grab your guys' comments. So keep talking. This is just so much fun, and I'm glad that you guys are having and enjoying yourself. I agree. That's funny. The monkey's giving directions. That's why I call him the manager. You know, the last one too. He's the one that's, hey, go this way. Hey, we're doing this. You know, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Oh, that is great, isn't it? That you guys, and you wonder why he calls it Wistful World art. There is no doubt in my mind, because yes, they are all very whimsical. I think that too. Really amazing. Really
Yeah, I get
amazing.
so many people that over the years have said that. I'm not sure if I already we touched about it, but you know, people say, I think I did mention this about, you know, they want, you know, you should create children's books or something. But I don't. You can tell, like, I don't like doing the same character over and over again. You
Right.
know, each one is a completely different story. I mean, similar style and everything else, but I just don't enjoy doing the same exact type of character, or you know, exact person in a
Right.
long story.
And that would actually be the whole, you know, like you said with the book, you would have to do that same character in all different kinds of ways and formats and so forth, you know, to tell that story
Yeah,
versus just having the one piece tell the story.
once I've done it, don't I don't want to go back to it.
Move on.
I'm done. I want to go on to my next story.
That's right. Move on. Man, absolutely beautiful. And congratulations on this cell. That is awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Tell us about this one.
Boy, you have to look. There's kind of that's an interesting, that one. I didn't do a lot of story on it. I kind of I think I showed a small poem that goes with it, that an artist, or not an artist, you know, somebody actually created. You look on I think it's on my website. Um, you know, so this was more of an abstract style, just over the top. Again, it's got like a weird grub kind of thing. It's been shot. She's got some weird steam thing coming up the back of her thing. I don't remember what the sign behind her. It says something in Latin. I don't remember what that says. I have to go back and look that up. It's been so long now. Again, just making it, you know, the contrast, the lights, the darks. You know, how crazy can you make it? Then make it even crazier.
Mhm. Exactly. As having some fun going. I love that. You know, that might be something. Yeah, I might start putting in my little, you know, repertoire. Be like, how can I make it weirder? I love that. I've never thought about that, you know, whenever I'm creating art. You guys are ever doing something for fun? I don't know. Maybe you guys be like, how can I love that. How can I add something unique? How can I make it weirder? I just think that's awesome. But
Yeah,
it's just great.
I just love the creativity of doing it. That's a nice thing, you know.
Right. I think this is fantastic. Absolutely
Thanks.
fantastic. I'll tell you, every time I see your outfits, I'm just like, it's just great. It's great. right. And always
Yeah.
something holding their hair and their whatever. Amazing. And you know, something I see here too, you have this, your little logo, and I'm like, that's really awesome. I'm sure you designed that, but you start to see it in some of your works as you're representing yourself. And I never thought about that, guys. Sometimes we sign our work, but if you ever create a little logo, you could actually paint your little logo instead of signing your work as well. I thought that's kind of
Right. And I know some artists that don't like, they'd rather sign the back of their painting and stuff. Like, you know, to me, every piece is show you off your logo or you know, your signature as much as you can. You know, yeah, maybe it's a little too showy. I don't know. In my opinion, is like, you know, I have this little character now. I actually used to have three different size rubber stamps that I would do.
nice.
On the watercolors, though, you know, that's one thing for like if you're doing like on a print that like, okay, if you mess up, it's not the end of the world. But if you try to do a stamp on your watercolor and you mess up, it's really hard to fix a watercolor. Acrylics, actually this one here, it took me, can you see it?
Hold on one second. There we go.
You may not be able to see it.
Okay. Let me just take it off.
Yeah, so this one, let's see. Yeah, this one here is a rubber stamp.
Oh, nice. Right?
Yeah, but it took me a second attempt to do it. So I had to redo that yellow part to start all over, and that was really obnoxious. And that's when I decided no more am I doing that. So even when you do that, I still have to go back and lightly use you know, a permanent ink marker to touch up spots.
Right.
And that's kind of obnoxious, you know. So I should have brought it with me. My latest painting, I use these permanent stickers that are about the same size as that. They're vinyl, and again, they're permanent. So and I actually put my name, Wistful World, at the very bottom so you can see it really closely. And oh my goodness, that is such a time saver compared to doing the stamp.
Right. That is awesome idea, guys. There's so many ways. And yeah, I usually like sign my back, but you know, I've thought about that of actually having a logo, because I'm like, sometimes it'll be initials, sometimes it's a name and some whatever. I've never really had something consistent, but I like the idea of creating a logo that, you know, I mean, I obviously have that for the show. So I'm like, that might be something that you guys think about, is creating some kind of like logo. I think that's a really, really awesome idea.
Yeah, so this one behind me is, I made that on a 3/4 inch plywood.
Wow, love it.
So I just drew it out and painted it, and I used to put that out on all my shows. So you can buy my I think on Facebook I have some old photos of me doing my shows, and this guy would always be with me on my booth. You know, I have a banner and everything else. So you got to promote yourself. And I would go over the top. Like I would have vases hanging on the wall with fake roses on there. I'd have colorful, you know, red tablecloths and stuff. Then I'd go with my business cards. I had note cards. I had pocketbook holders. I had pill containers with my, you know, my images on them. I had coffee mugs. I had everything. Unfortunately, that does go a little over the top, though. You know, that gets to the point where it's like, oh, I just want to paint.
Right? I hear that. This one is exceptional. All right, tell us about her.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so this was probably one of the first ones that I did. She still has the long neck, but I was just kind of playing with like a kind of slightly of a manga feel to it.
Right.
But with you know, more of a modern look, you know. So steampunk was stuff kind of a twisted thing done in the past. This is probably more like, okay, it's more of a futuristic style, with a kind of a manga, a little bit look to it, you know. And yeah, so not much. I just still did the kind of the interesting background, kind of gave it like a sepia background, a little colorful details on the corners to make it more like a photograph. Right.
You almost have her framed almost like as if a playing card. I really think that's awesome, the way you have her in.
Yeah, I did 2 of them, and somebody bought those 2, and those are only about 8 by 10, I believe.
Right. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And this is some of you. So you said some of your first,
First for the
the,
kind of like the Wistful World, the newer style. I'm kind of from the super long. You can see the ones the prior to this you saw all had like the faces were all
right,
elongated.
right.
This
Mm-hmm.
one's more of a normal size and stuff. And you'll see that as I go, the neck's got a little bit shorter, I believe, on quite a few of them. More normal looking, if you will.
I just love her. I love that wash with just the bounces of color, that kind of frame each side. And I love the framing on that. Of course, you guys, including that wonderful logo idea. But isn't this awesome? She is just beautifully done. Absolutely beautifully done. I think this is really great.
Yeah, and you see, I inked that one so that so you get more of a contrast with the lights and the darks. So it'd be more defined, with the character versus the background.
Right, I do too.
I know a lot of artists, like depending on the light, the direction of the light, they'll actually, and on my newer stuff, I do this. They do a very fine line, white line on the light side, and it kind of looks like a reflection, if you will.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely phenomenal. This is great. This is really great. Man, it's amazing because to me, it just seems bigger than an 8x10, but this is really phenomenal, guys. How do you like working with inks?
Well, I guess I should clarify. It's not like an ink well kind of thing. It's there's special permanent ink markers that I'll use. They're very fine, different sizes you can buy.
Okay.
More for like drafting and stuff. Now the only problem is I find that it has kind of like a felt, kind of like a very narrow tip. On the watercolors, for whatever reason, they get clogged up really quick, and in some regards they kind of ruin the thing. Like even if I stop and I kind of tap it or try to get it to get flowing again, sometimes I can't even get the thing to flow anymore. So that was always obnoxious when I was trying to do that work.
Right. Well, it turned out phenomenal. And yeah, I like ink, but the only ones I've ever experienced, of course I have things like that with the markers and stuff, but no, I have like the ink wells in different colors, and it's kind of a little fun to do as well. But I love it. I think this is detailed so beautifully. I love how you framed her. I think this turned out phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wow, this one is just so vibrant. Oh my goodness. Tell us about her.
This one, my twin sister has this one. And so basically she's just like a music conductor, and just floating bubbles behind her or whatever, just to add effect or whatever. I don't think it's related to anything. A lot of these smaller pieces, this is probably 11 by 14, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't go crazy with stories. A lot of them was just more the name. I have unique names for them.
I love this. This is so vibrant, man. Right? Eyelashes, right? I am just like that lime green behind her just makes her just pop right off the stage. I mean, imagine her beautiful eyes, right? Yeah. What a great choice.
I just encourage people with watercolors, just contrast the lights and the darks as much as you can. That's just me. I mean, maybe people want the washed out look. That's fine. It's your style, but I just love it. Like just visually, you can look at it from across the room, and it's like, yeah.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I mean, this one just grabs your attention, and it would be from across that room because it's so vibrant and so bright. You'd be like, oh my gosh, how does it not catch your attention?
Yeah.
I like bright as well too, and I just think that is amazing. I agree. That color in the eyes, see, that's what I'm saying, guys. That color in those eyes just basically match what ties it all in and just makes her pop. And that opposite of that lime green and that hot pink, right? Yeah. It's just really done well.
You can see that this style of these kind of Wistful World characters, more of a modern look. I kind of gave it that slightly manga look. The eyes are kind of spaced a little bit further apart, right? And they're kind of drooping downward on the sides a little bit. And that was kind of create the wistful, almost a sad look. If you'll notice, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think of all my years, with these characters, you'll see that none of them smile. It's just a very somber, straight look. I think that I do that just because I like the unknown. What is she thinking? Why is she just so somber? Not their mad. She's not mad. She's not angry. She's not happy. She's not sad. Just like, what is she thinking? So you kind of make up your own story in your mind.
I like that. I like that a lot, exactly, because you're right. She could be in a thought process, something, and you're making yourself tell or ask what the story is besides this. Because if she was just like, full, whatever, smiling, and she's, whatever, you would know already. But no,
yeah, exactly. Right.
I know she's an absolute thought. And I think this is awesome. The details on this is great. Have you guys looking at the wonderful sequence, kind of glowy, goldish rainbow thing, for her chest and her side? I'm like, that is really beautifully done from afar. That just glows like some amazing sequence. That is really done well as well.
Yeah, the same effect with the balloon, the bubbles,
right?
Contrast the different depths of everything. Her the bubble behind her hand, makes it feel like, okay, she's definitely in the foreground. She's in front of the balloons, so it kind of creates that depth. Some are faint, some are dark.
Right. Just awesome. It is just awesome. Definitely catches your, well, all your work does too, but I think that's your point, is you want it to catch your eye, something to stop and go, wait a minute, what is this? Let me look at this. Oh my heck, it's awesome. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and I again, with the style, you don't have to get too crazy with, I don't get crazy with the anatomy so much with that style. It's kind of the beauty of the style, because you can kind of fudge things a little bit. You may have the scale of things. Like if you look at that last piece, her hands are way too small when I look at it. Compared to the size of the figure, it's way too small. Those are tiny hands.
Right.
But, it kind of doesn't, whatever. The whole thing is kind of weird anyways.
But that's the fun. And I love that it's not, anatomically correct. That's I think the whole fun part of your work, is it's just absolutely amazing. We are loving this. So you did kind of go through this little stage, and I've kind of see that, a boy, and I was going to ask too, because the younger generation, I bet they are screaming for some of these pieces that we're just now seeing, because they really love that Magda, that's not it. The anime, and things that they're really, really loving that kind of style.
Exactly.
So I could see them being extremely drawn to this. Now tell us about these.
I was very pleased with this one. I remember this was done, I guess, somewhat of a commission. It was one of those beautiful commissions where the person didn't care what I made. they just wanted me to create something for them. So, and I always I don't mind that kind of style. Be honest with you, I don't really like commissions. I don't like having to go by something, looking like somebody. I like, I had a few people ask, like, oh, can you just kind of make it in your style? And I could be maybe convinced to do that, but I pretty much try to avoid doing the commission stuff. But this one technically is a commission. The font, the Chinese, I can't remember if it's Japanese, it's probably Japanese. It's the name of the person it was given to, and her name was Lexi, and that's what it says. It says Lexi. Right.
I love that. Yeah. It's amazing. And I recognize too, because I had a great friend. I was working on a piece that was a Japanese piece too. And I was like, I want this title, but I don't know how to put it in Japanese. And he helped me write it down and put it onto the back and help me, keep it for the title, because it adds to it, and I really love that you've incorporated that, beautifully done.
If I took me a half day just to figure out the lettering, I'm thinking, because I don't write like that.
Right? I mean, they're artists just the way they write. You're like, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. I just love, she's really awesome. But I am so in love with this like ball that's just dropping from that corner of that fuchsia, right? Going on there in that top corner.
Yeah, it looks like flames.
Right. I'm like, that is awesome to me. I mean, like I said, I love the whole piece, but there are certain moments that capture me. And that one on this piece, I'm like, what is going on
Yeah,
there?
it's amazing what you can. That is the beauty of watercolors.
Right?
They can easily get those effects.
Right? I love that about watercolors too. I also, if you could add a little bit of salt to it before it dries and let it kind of soak in, and then you can let it dry and brush it away, and it will just make everything like splatter. And it's just so cool. And I love that about watercolors is what they can do, with the way they bleed and blend into that paper. This is awesome.
Yeah, so somebody's asking the question of where do I get the ideas from? Does it start without a plan? Just see them and then goes. No, I think as I was talking before, a lot of times it's just doing the pose and then figuring out what they're doing. So I'm pretty sure it's the same scenario where I just kind of drew a character and I had no idea what she was doing. And then I just kind of came up, well, I'll have her holding a pitcher and, pouring water into the mouth of a bird.
Right. Most of this, as you said, is basically your imagination. Like you said, you might do a figure, then all of a sudden all this other stuff comes in and you're like, hey, what else weird can I add to this? What else unique can I add to this?
Yeah, I think that's why I kind of feel like starting with the character, just doing something unusual.
Right.
And then you can kind of like, okay, if I can do that, then just figure out what are you going to make her do?
Right.
I don't think it's too hard to come up with that. Rather than trying to, I think it gets overwhelming when you think about the whole scene, right? Like you're trying to like, oh goodness, well, maybe I want the bird and the picture and stuff like that. You kind of start overthinking, I think. So if you can at least nail down the main character and then figure out the rest of it later.
That's right. That's what I'm loving too, because your imagination, which this is where it comes from. It's a beautiful, creative imagination, and being a little bit inspired by a few of his, art mastered idols or so forth, but taking a little bit and going, and I'm going to incorporate and make my own. You are a great example of this. And I am just loving each piece, my friend. All right. Our next one.
This is a weird one. Yeah. So that's that's not, I think that's actually just to show it. When I was kind of putting on my website, I put the black border around it.
Right.
It's really actually a hexagon cradle board that has the watercolor painted on and adhered to it, glued to it. So the no pets pasto, probably else can say it better than me. So basically, that's an old thing. It's a figurative pose that were very common back in, I don't know, 1600s or something like that. And so you'll see a lot of figures, like statues in that type of pose. And so I thought it'd be funny to do a character in that pose and having a sign there that says, don't do that.
Right. All right.
I love that one was.
And I get really unique. What made you choose to frame it in the shape like this as well? That's really unique.
Well, I love hexagons. I try to use them like when I'm designing stuff, for when I'm doing any type of graphic type work.
Right.
And I just wanted to try something different. It kind of fit well because it's the same shape as the sign too, which is kind of cool.
Right.
I do actually have 2 other blank ones that I need to use. So maybe I will go back and do 1 or 2.
There you go. There you go. I love the unique shapes like that too. I get all excited, when I see, especially like when I see canvases, and I've never really done one, but I get excited. One of these days I'm going to have to order them like a triangle or a hexagon or a circle. I just love the uniqueness of it because it also, puts you in a certain form, a certain box per se. And then you're like, what am I going to do inside this unique shape? And I think you did that really well.
No, thanks.
It's awesome.
Somebody made a comment about the logo comes alive in the center of the painting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only because I'm surprised I gave you that because I was trying to give you some of my other stuff. It was high res, but not having the logo on it because I figured, because I've had problem with people stealing my art in the past.
Yes, me too.
So while we're on that subject, let's talk about it just for a couple minutes. I do the watermark in the middle just because it's unlikely that somebody can easily remove it. Now with AI, you can probably remove that in 2 seconds.
Yep.
But I want the viewers to know when you're doing stuff online, your images, you want to try to keep it 72 DPI when you're creating them. You don't want them huge, obviously, because you don't want somebody to reproduce that image. And if you're worried about somebody taking that image and using it for marketing or selling their items, there's a University of Chicago makes a product called Glaze, a software. It's free, and basically you process your image into that. You have to run on your PC. Now, I will admit, though, it's a little heavy on resources to run the thing. So you have to make sure all your apps are closed. It's the only thing running. And it actually kind of, it messes up with the logic of the pixels in the image so that you can see that pretty well, but AI can't easily see it when they're combing through websites. So I do kind of recommend that people can do that. Fine. I don't, it kind of depends where you're at, in your career, how crazy you want to get. It takes an extra couple steps when you're processing, but I think it's still worth it. I figured, well, why not? If it's probably helping a little bit.
Well, there's some things here I've learned too, with researching this with your art with AI too. If you use the hashtag "do not steal my art" AI, you're telling it doesn't have permission, and it's supposed to stop them from grabbing your piece if you use that hashtag. And I know a lot of you artists, Bob does that all the time. I try to do that occasionally as well too. But I am not a fan of Photoshop. Oh my God, I'm not a fan of Photoshop because I've had somebody take my most famous painting, take off all my watermarks, change the tone, and claim it as their own. I've also had somebody do this with AI, took off all of my watermarks, doesn't matter the size, whatever, and try to claim it. So you guys, it's a battle. It's a real battle.
And one thing I do once in a while, maybe every, month or two, or sorry, probably every like 6 to 8 months or so, I'll kind of randomly take some of my images that are online, and there's not software, but websites you can go to. I'll use my stuff that has that special tool through it, because I don't want to like upload stuff or whatever. It can actually determine if your image is being used somewhere, and that's how I discovered one of my art pieces was being used on a website somewhere.
Right.
And I did contact them, ask them kindly to remove. I give them the benefit of the doubt once, then after that, forget it. I'll unleash.
That's right. And look it up. And there's a way that you guys can easily just do Google, even on your phone. You go to a Google tab and they have the little camera, upload your piece, and it will pop immediately all over the place where that piece is at.
Yep. Reverse image search.
That's right. So you guys, exactly, that image search, exactly. And it will also let me know, too, my Artist Corner family, if your work is AI, by the way, just let you guys know. So there's a lot of ways to protect your work, but with the things, it started back, 15 years ago, with Photoshop. Somebody literally just taken a picture of mine, Photoshopped the heck out of it, and stole it. It was unbelievable, and I fight for it like crazy. So I've never been a fan of that sense. But you guys got to protect your work and fight for it. You guys are creating amazing things, right? Look at what Geoff is doing. And I'm glad that you brought that up, my friend. Thank you for that information.
Certainly.
Yes. This is one of the first I saw from you in the group, and I just immediately fell in love with her. She's a pedicure.
Yeah, this is kind of a funny one. You have to read the story on this one. So this one's called Pedicure.
Right.
So basically, she's at a doctor's office. It's called Dr. Whack-A-Moff is his name, and his business is called Pedicure. And so she's holding a little doll that kind of resembles her, and the little doll's missing her left leg.
Right.
And so she's thinking about what she's got to go in to have this procedure done, and yet these prosthetic things are hanging up, and there's canes and stuff on the side says take one, and then it's got a biohazard trash bin with blood oozing out of it. So it's kind of not a pretty painting, but it's kind of slightly comical.
That's what I thought.
So she's probably thinking like, I don't know if this is the right thing I want to do. She's got her brace, like she's got a, like she's got a brace. She's like, she's got a, a condition.
Right.
She's like the big one. Now she's got to have that leg removed.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it is. It is. I thought it was, not only did I think it was amazingly done, the details are so unbelievable, the intricacy of the bricks and the ground and her herself, but it's extremely comical, right? I mean, I was like, I saw this, the name, the big, huge saw, right? The blood on the way. I'm like, yeah, what is going on here?
Yeah. That was a fun one. I have a, the person that owns it is a friend of mine up in New England.
I love it. I love it. Are you up in that area now, or?
No, I'm in Texas now. That's kind of like a long story, but it's just real quick. I lived in Massachusetts for a while, Connecticut, then moved to Texas. Then job situations happened, and I had to go back to Massachusetts for a short period of time. And then I came back to Texas because it was just too crazy cold and cruddy weather all the time and drove me nuts. Especially my wife. She's got that rayon syndrome where she's freezing all the time. So, even in Texas, she's freezing.
Oh, that's funny. Right. But I get that. I can't. I'm in a real perfect little nook here where it doesn't get too cold and it doesn't get too hot, and I'm all good. But I can't do the cold at all anymore. I'm always freezing. Usually even by me, and I'm surprised tonight, I have a little space heater.
Yep, that's what she has. You have to at her workplace, she's got a little heater sometimes.
Right. That's awesome. Oh, shout out to that. That is so cool. But yes, I agree, you guys. Right. The brick is just intense. But this piece, I can remember this being one of the first I saw when you entered our group. And I was like, this is awesome. And I knew you had a very unique creativity there. And it was also like, whimsical and comical and very unique. And I just like, that is awesome. Absolutely awesome. We love it. Okay, tell us about her.
Boy. Oh, this is The Hawker of Solve is the name of it, I believe.
Yeah.
You have to read the story. This one's been a little while too. So she's wearing some type of a medical device, and she's got a condition that she's wearing. Has to wear this brace that's keeping her hands in a weird position. I don't know what that is. There's some kind of like she's got these little characters, and that's more of that kind of like, I wouldn't say lowbrow, but something that kind of comes to mind. These little characters, one's holding a little rose, and there's one in the backpack that she's behind her. So there's probably, you have to read the story. I don't quite remember all about it, but I mean, I like this piece. I have to admit, I'm not too thrilled about how her eyes came out, but I guess I'm my own worst critic.
Right.
I would have done them differently.
Oh, I like them a lot. I do. So yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, we are our own worst critics because I think that, I like them a lot. There's just so many unique, again, right? Just your brain, the way you think of really intricate things, of how things are hanging on people, and it's tied to her arms, and amazing pieces. But I really love this one too. Again, not everything has to be the bright neon. The beautiful wash in the back of this is really beautiful. It really adds to her. Almost gives us a kind of a delicacy, but yet we look at her, and she's so bold. Yeah.
Now that was a fun one. It is kind of neat. I can't say that I've done a lot with red in the background, except I'm not sure we're going to be showing it. The Krispy Kreme one. I don't know if we're going to be showing that one, but that was one with a lot of, I believe it has a lot of red in that one.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. And I love it. You got her crown on. That's what it looks like to me. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very beautiful.
Oh, okay. That was right behind me.
Yeah.
On this side, yeah.
Right. That's a lot smaller than I imagined this when I saw this piece.
No, it's pretty heavy too. I hand built the frame for that thing. So I kind of created this so it's a watercolor mounted on, on some type of a board. It's only like a half-inch thick, probably less than that. And then
Right.
I got like a block on it. So it looks like it's completely floating behind the thing.
I know.
It weighs a ton, unfortunately, because of all the wood on the thing.
There we go.
But yeah, that was I'd have to say that was probably and it shows off my work when it comes to the control of the watercolors more than any other piece.
I can't believe what you do with watercolor.
Yeah, just kind of like letting the water kind of flow and trickle, and you kind of let things run a little bit, kind of work it through. You probably have to put on an incline to, to first get the water to start coming down.
Right.
Again, it's kind of like you want some things more clear, some things kind of, dispersed a bit, to a lot of variety to everything.
This is amazing. It's looking at things like this, because I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, when we're looking at all these, I'm like, doesn't this make you want to go try watercolor or retry watercolor, or just, because I mean, look at the richness, the boldness that he's coming out with this. If you guys have never tried this medium, I highly suggest you do. This is beautifully done, and it's so vibrant. You can almost expect watercolor to almost be like a washy thing, and you come out with this amazing boldness, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, they're fun to do. I just don't like dealing with them in terms of, especially when you're doing shows and everything else. They're kind of a pain to deal with, and all the glass. I don't know.
Right.
I still encourage it because that's where I learned. And in some regards, it's good because the watercolor technically, I feel, is much harder to learn than it is acrylics. So I'm glad that I learned on the little bit harder one to control. So now that I'm doing acrylics, it's okay. Acrylic seems easy to me now for the most part. Now I got the hang of it. It took me a couple of weeks, but I got it down pretty good.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. This is phenomenal. I mean, every piece, and I see that what you guys are saying too. Like every single one has just been outstanding. We are so excited to see this. I mean, and so unique, right? Each one, like he says, each piece tells you a story, grabs your attention in one way or another. And that has been so fun. All right, tell us about this one. Eat the humans.
Well, somebody asked about what kind of watercolors do you use. I use tube watercolor, and I had the fortunate thing where somebody gave me a box of paints, literally hundreds of Winsor Newton watercolors, and I went through them. I kept those because that's what I was using. And then there was also a bunch of oils, like lots of them, and there's like one or two of every color in there. So I divvied up those oils because I wasn't using oils and I wasn't planning on using oils. And I ended up probably at least, I don't know, like 25 to 40 colors, and made 3 sets of them, all about the same color set. And I did a raffle, and I gave them away to other artists that needed them. I figured, I figured to return it back. I figured I got it for free. I might as well. I could have tried and sell them, I suppose, but I figured I'll pass it along and let somebody else enjoy them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is
so
awesome.
Have all the watercolors. I got a whole box of them, and I'd say, I don't know, probably 60% of them are not even open. They're probably gonna go bad by the time I even get to use them. Anyways, this one is Yeet the Humans. It's kind of like more of a modern style.
Okay.
You have to read the story. It's kind of a quirky thing. So the background is a checkers. That's water. The whole background is watercolor, I believe. The smoke might have some acrylics put into it, but this is the first one I kind of dabbled a little bit of acrylics on it. Her clothing is acrylic, but her skin is watercolor because I was used to doing the skin tones in the watercolor. I could not figure out how to do them in acrylics at that point. So you can see that it's a robot trying to capture her. She ripped off the arm, and so you'll have to read the story. So you can see how she's got the robot's got the thing that says the cross off of the character on the front of it.
Right.
So he's going after the girl. So,
Man,
so
I
these obviously weren't based on Victorian stuff. They weren't based on real life. So those are completely made up stories.
Is awesome. That is just really beautiful. Somebody was talking about the background of this. Like, good grief, how much time did it take you just to do the details in the back, right? With each one of
Yeah,
those.
that was a little tricky. I sketched all that out with a ruler and made all the lines and stuff like that.
That is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Right? I'm
Yeah,
glad you
so I don't mean to sound morbid, but so the robot is kind of like trying to conquer Earth. He's trying to kill off the humans. So the binary code that's running behind on the tail of the fumes,
got right.
that's in binary and it says kill, kill, kill. I know that's kind of
Wow.
morbid, but
Good
it
to
kind
know
of
the
binary kind
details
of
though,
fit
right?
with the whole theme. So
It could be. You never know. I'll tell you what, if they don't get programmed right,
exactly. That was
we
the intent.
right, we could be facing a Terminator situation, guys. Oh my gosh, this is just awesome, though. I mean, just and all the little details that go into this. If you guys didn't even notice that, now you can read this picture and know exactly what it says. Yeet the humans, kill, kill, kill. We see their agenda. I remember when they did the first, not the first robot, what was her name, Sophia or something like that, and they asked her, it's like, what do you think of humans? And she was like, yeah, I think they need to be wiped off the face. Let's reprogram her. We got to reprogram that. I'm like, yeah, you do. But I love it. The
Yeah.
details are awesome on this piece.
So you can see as I go, I really there's definitely more vivid colors. So I'm trying to really get the colors popping more. Now, the last piece I did, I have to admit, I think it's too colorful. I wish I did a little bit. I wish I made the background a little bit lighter, but we can talk about that in a minute.
Okay. We've got a few more. We're almost there. This again is one of the first I saw from you too, and this is probably one of my favorites from you. I don't know what it is about. It's everything about her. I love her so much. From her hair, beautiful eyes, her background of exploding lava. I mean, this is so awesome. I love this one. Tell us about her.
So this is the very first one I did with completely all acrylics. I used golden open acrylics. I didn't want something that dries too quickly. I've had some fluid acrylics by Golden, but boy, do those dry quick. And I'm like, I need a little more time than that. But so my first attempt, this was on a more smooth surface, and I was trying to get the hang of that whole thing. I was seeing the lines. Like I should have brought it with me. It's in my another room, but it was bad. You could see the lines. I couldn't get it smooth, whatever. This piece is done on an 1.5 inch canvas. And, but this is when I discovered the trick of using the titanium white in with, just a tiny bit of the titanium white in with the flesh tones, like this is probably yellow orca, burnt umber, things like that.
Right.
I would say later on, I would use washes, light washes of acrylic, like transparent crimson reds and stuff like that, just to make more of a skin tone, But
right.
I definitely finally, after it took me my second attempt, and I think it's the only time in life that it took me twice to paint something to get it done. Yet I was absolutely frustrated doing it, but once I overcame that, it was like, okay, I think I can do this now.
Right.
So yeah, so there's two robots, the same type of robots are in the background. One's way in the background, getting ready to be hammered by a meteor, and then the other robot is trying to chase her. So it's just kind of a funny thing where she's just like got the somber look, sitting in the foreground. And again, go read the story. You can see what it's about. It's a little bit of a long story, but it's kind of interesting.
I love everything about it. From their finger waves in her hair to the background colors, which are totally everyone knows are my favorite. I really love the red and yellow spectrums. Just makes it pop, makes that blue, and her eyes and her skin tone just pop by that beautiful, beautiful coloring in the back. And I know it's an exploding world. right? But I don't know. It's just something in her expression too. She's like, kind of way,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
but
but
it's
I just
beautiful.
felt like, this is obviously, again, this is a background that's really just an abstract, really. I mean,
Right,
it's you can, you get this feel that it's kind of like a barren landscape,
right,
but it's, I wanted to focus more on these characters more than I did the landscape.
right. Oh man, this turned out so great. Just love it. And that's another, point right there too. Your background can have nothing to do with your actual focal point. Have fun with it. And I
Yeah.
love it. She is by far one of my favorites through painting. I don't know, she just draws to me, and I think that this is really wonderful. Maybe because it's one of the first I saw from you. I don't know, but I'm like, man, she is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm glad I got through the hump of learning the acrylics.
Right? You did it, and you did it well. You did it well. Oh, all right. I believe that we have this one, and your last piece is, I think, is
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
We'll
So
finish
this
it up.
one, this one is that came out of that last one. Um, that that got accepted into a juried show in Texas, and again, this is just a story. Now, this is the first one I went back to doing the long neck, elongated figures, and just kind of doing a unusual. I decided to go with what worked. People loved the bicycle stuff, and
Yes.
just felt that well, people liked it. I need to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So then I kind of reinvented myself, I guess you could say. Maybe not really, but I took a break, from going between the watercolors and this. I think I took about a year and a half break. I was working on some other stuff, and it was good to take the break. I just kind of gave me better insight and trying something a little bit different, more bold.
Right.
Um, you know,
I
I
love it.
mean, again, this one does have a story that goes with it. Has her name. It was just Fanny.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I had a comment when I went to an art show. I think it was another artist says, "Yeah, I like that art, but I wouldn't buy it because the Fanny name on it. It just kind of ruins the piece, or something along that lines." So I kind of get it that people can see a name and they can relate it to something. It could be negative. They may
Right.
not want that hanging on their wall. So I'm probably going to rethink of doing that for future stuff. If I do, it'd be more of an obscure name or something not that could be, interpreted in the wrong way per se.
Well, there's always the one that may not get it, but there might be one that does get it. You never know
Yeah,
who you might reach out to. I love that she has a name, and there are some names that people are using now that you're like, okay, but it's always kind of been that way. Growing up, that there's would pick a name out, and that might go away. But I love that. I think that is really cute, and
yeah. So you
I
can you can see, that's her son riding a
I
little pedicure. Oh, sorry, pedicure. It's a tricycle
right,
thing, or like a thing. Well, a little. It's like a mini thing, but it's like the rear wheel of the big bike, and then he's got a bike to hold the gas tank. Or water. It's probably water, not gas. Um,
right.
and he's got this big thing to hold all the luggage. So he's just sitting there. He's probably dreading life. I can't stand this. Why am I pedaling this little bicycle behind mom? And he's probably pedaling like 50 times to her one cycle to make that wheel that bike move. So he's not happy. You can tell that he's pretty down.
Right. Right. I know. I think it's funny. And now that we spoke about that, I'm seeing this over here in Rumble, and they're talking about the name, and the people are loving the name, and they're saying the fact that they didn't like the Fanny name makes me love it even more.
Yeah.
One said here too, you need to find a grandma who's named Fanny, and another one here's too. Like, I love the name too. It's cute. So I don't know. See, it might be that one person that maybe didn't like it,
Yeah.
but there's a whole audience that might love it.
Right. Yeah. And this is another example of creating the illusion of depth. And I did that with the butterflies.
Yes.
So the butterfly in the upper right hand corner on the horizon line, it breaks the horizon. So that's intentional to cut that line better. Then the one in front of her is kind of, doesn't have a lot of things, but just kind of, it's definitely more, you can easily, that one stands out pretty good.
Right.
And then again, the one below her breaks up the line of her dress and stuff. So it looks like the butterfly's flying in front of her,
Right.
or, in front of the viewer looking at it. So it's all, again, about trying to create the depth. To me, is really important when you're designing. And those butterflies were afterthoughts. I didn't plan on doing those. I just said, no, it needs something to break the horizon. And so I just threw in some butterflies, and it creates movement.
It does.
Motion,
It does. Create movement and motion, exactly. And it helps with the flow of her dress. It just continues to, they're on the move. And you can see he's pedaling like crazy. And she's just like, we're strolling. Are you working back there? Because we're
yeah, right. Yeah, keep going. Pedal faster.
Right? Oh, and I'm glad that you included him too. That just adds a lot to the story as well too. Now you have a little family.
The character, she did live in real life. Again, she had 2 children. She had a boy and a girl, about the same age. And this is the son, obviously. And so I used the son just because I thought it'd be kind of funny to have a little boy with a kind of a Texas cowboy, saddle, and he's dreading life because he's got to be with his mother, or something, because he's pedaling, like he's like, I hope my friends don't see me.
Right. Can I hide a little bit more of that dress, man? Right? By the way, on this not the seams, but the creases of that dress, I'm looking on the bigger screen of the blending. Oh man, they're just these little moments, guys, that I'm just sitting there going, I am in love with it. It's so vibrant, bold, beautiful colors. I am thrilled with this. Wow.
Yeah, you see the clouds, I just did more of a that kind of that wistful look. I didn't want stuff that looks realistic. I just wanted to be kind of fluffy and kind of melancholy look to them.
That's right. This is beautifully done. I mean, all of your work, it's just amazing, but I am loving it. I love this. There is something about the bicycles that I think you're right. It does reach out to, and they're also unique. It's not your typical bicycle, but the bicycle is almost like a main player, not almost like it is a main player of the piece. It tells its own little story, beautifully and uniquely created. You guys, isn't it awesome? Right? Exactly. I agree. They're calling you a rock star. I agree.
Yeah.
This is your last one.
Yeah, this is the last one. This is the most complicated one that I did.
Can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
So, when I was talking to you guys earlier about him taking little moments of his pieces and telling its own story, there is a story about the basket, the pail at the bottom, and I'm laughing when you post it, and we're like, oh, we gotta have this. And I'm literally cracking up when I see your post. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. So he will tell a story about one little part of his painting, which is just phenomenal. So now I'll let you tell us about this piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is actually not based on a character. It's completely fictional. And I just wanted to keep going back with the bicycle theme, making it really colorful. It's more abstract when you think about her flowing dress weaving through the animals. In real life, it wouldn't be, flowing around quite that much, obviously. So it's really, the dress is to tie in the eye movement going through. So when I'm designing a piece, I'm always thinking about, okay, I don't want the viewer's eye to wander off the painting. I want something to keep drawing them back in. So like essentially, pretty much everything I do has a purpose. It's not just random painting. So the flag is going, it's pointing downward a little bit. The cat's playing with it. Your eye is drawn down to the cat's at the top. The other cat, the black and white cat, is looking up at the other cat. The cloth of her dress is coming downward. So then your eyes kind of leads to the little cat that's in the trailer behind her on the very back. And then the dog was just kind of this goofy dog with his tongue wet, hanging out, just really eager to get somewhere. And then again, it was one of those things where it's like a little too, it wasn't balanced correctly. So I put in a giant dragonfly on a ball. And so we can tell the dog is looking at the ball that's in her hand. And the dog wants the ball, so, then the wings of the dragonfly, obviously one of them points up towards her eyes and stuff like that. Then you're drawn back down. So, then if you look at the lines on the bicycle, go all the way to the back, there's a pail behind the trailer, there's a couple flies flying around it. And what could that be? Well, it's probably a poop bucket if you had for thing there's pets. So you got to have flies and you need a poop bucket.
Right. I can remember you're like, oh, I had to add some flies to this. I mean, you guys, even in his post, he's so comical because he did the poop bucket. And then like later on, you thought about the flies. Oh, so I had to add some flies. And so like, oh my God, awesome, Geoff.
Yeah. And obviously they're very hard to see. I actually made the little tails, like the motion, the lines of where the flies were flying. So
right.
it would kind of stick out just a little bit when you're looking up closely.
Right.
So again, I love this piece. I don't really have any like complete disagreements with it. I just wish I toned down the background a little bit. Actually, that blue sky, I actually had that much darker, and it absolutely was way too much of a contrast. So I actually redid that entire blue sky so that it was a little bit lighter. And even at that, I still think it's a little too dark. But it works. I think it's okay.
It works too. And, I guess you're right, because unless you got a really big, or you're up close to see that. So another thing about zooming in on these areas that people might not necessarily see. So for him to just take like a snapshot so you can up close picture of the pail with the flies, and then he tells a comical story. So if you guys ever thought about that, I mean, I have big, huge pieces, and a lot of people just take a first glance and they don't see maybe these certain sections that it inspires me to stop and go, you know what, maybe I'm going to take a picture just of this and tell a little story to go with it. Yours are comical. Sometimes mine are not, but I'm like, it just cracked me up. But it was awesome way to show the in detail, the intricacy, the detail that you've actually put into this piece. It's just phenomenal. I think that you were doing great. I think it's awesome, by the way. And people,
yeah. So this is 24 by 30 inches on a 2-inch cradled board. So it's fair. It's definitely one of the, I bought a set of 8 of these cradled boards, these big size pieces. I didn't want to get huge, just because I feel like, I like the big stuff, but, it takes a lot more time. Just doing this took me at least like 3-4 months if I'm lucky, doing that, so.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. I was
like, when you do the size, like, this 24 by 30 inches, it's a nice size that you can put just about anywhere in your house, because people have a smaller house, you're not going to have a humongous painting in some houses.
Right.
Right. So that was kind of my reason behind it.
I like that size too, because the piece also too, they want a painting, a lot of times that makes at least a present, something that they could hang in the living room or somewhere that they, and that's a nice size. I think you chose really well. And you can tell.
What's kind of neat about too is that my next painting is in portrait orientation.
Is it?
And you see on Facebook, it's the one I'm working on now with the black raven on the bicycle. Basically, I think that's this size really lends well for doing either orientation. Because it's not like it's long, narrow, then you wouldn't necessarily. Sometimes it's kind of really going to hang something that's very, tall, coming out. So I like this size. It's kind of versatile in terms of whether you're doing landscape or portrait orientation.
Right. This is absolutely magical and magnificent. And I would agree with.
This is one with the new sticker, the
right
Burma sticker on it too for the logo, which is way easier.
Right. That's a really unique idea, guys. Vinyl stickers. I never had thought about that before either. What a really awesome idea. but I just am loving it. And I can't wait to see more. This is just, I'm excited that you're in our groups because I get to see this, guys. You know, and it's so exciting to see this pathway and to see, you know, your journey into this world. Your creativity blows me away. It's so unique. Absolutely unique. Don't you guys just love it? I agree. He's amazing, right? I absolutely agree with you guys. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This has been so much fun, not only to get to know you, but this is why I love it when you guys come on the show, you know, because then it gives me a chance to show you off and get to know you, and, you know, and have you guys to get to know each other a little bit more in our community, in our group. But I agree. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I just want to thank you very much for the opportunity. Like, I haven't, you know, since I had the strokes, I can't get around anymore, you know, as easy. My wife helps me out a lot doing things, but, you know, I'm hoping that down, you know, things can maybe wind down a little bit. I'm trying to build up more of a stronger portfolio of the long neck characters in acrylic. And then I'm hoping to do like maybe a solo show at some point. So that's what I'm trying to strive to.
Oh, that would be awesome. You know, we look forward to it. Make sure that you know, let us know and stuff too. You can put those things in the group, because if anybody's in the area, they're going to definitely want to go to see that. But, you know, you guys, this is his told that we all need to check out. And I told you also Wistful World. You guys, find that and follow them on X and Truth. You know, you could always do that. And then, you know, of course, last but not least, and it's, you know, you can definitely come and find him in our groups where we are promoting artists every single day. If you guys post it in the groups, I will see it and I will share it out. So that's another great way to you know, we can at least get you seen and share each other's stuff out, because that's, you know, great support there. But again, please go check out his website as well. Do you have any last things that you want to say, or inspiration to others, or anything about yourself that you want to?
I just really want to thank you for the opportunity, and it's so wonderful to have a opportunity, you know, to do this and get a little more visibility. Seeing I haven't been able to get out quite as much, and it's wonderful. I follow you. I appreciate you sharing all my stuff. It's a great community. Thank you so much for everything.
You're more, this is what I love to do. You know, I absolutely love to do this. And, you know, and I love to fight for our artists and our art community, you know, in the world of arts. It's just something I do from, you know, building this, because our community has become more than just a post and go. It has really become a great like family community. I love it. And to get to know each other, it's really awesome. So I'm so thankful that you are actually part of my community and that you get to bless us with your amazing artwork. So, and you can always come back, you know, hey, he has a lot more, guys. And it was hard to choose because I'm like, okay, right. So you want to come back in a few months, you just let me know. You might have something new. I know you're working on something. We will show it off. Maybe you'll have a show coming up or something, but, you know, always welcome to come back on the show. My friend.
Thank you. That's great. I appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. So you guys go tell him how awesome he is. Go share out his artwork. Go follow him. Join the community if you need to. And you guys, let's support each other. All right. Yes, I agree. You're welcome. Have a great night, my friend, and I'll see you in the corner.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Wasn't that so much fun? Oh my gosh, I love it when you guys come on the show. I cannot tell you how excited I get. So if you're an artist of some kind, right, whether you're a musician, painter, sculptor, poet, photographer, you name it. I mean, we love it. I love to have you on and highlight your amazing talents, you know. So I am booking one opening left in February, and then I am booking for March already. So get to me quick, you know, because I love to do this, you know, and get your word out there. Whether we have, you know, a few hundred views or thousands of views, is another way to get you guys seen. And then another way that I can help you guys, my wonderful artists, whether you're an artist or not, you just appreciate great artists. This truly is the groups you need to join. And we start over there on Truth. It's almost 650 members there. Now we're going over to X. We already got 80 members over there. So help us grow, join this, and be a part of these amazing communities. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am for each one of you to be here tonight. Please do me a favor and help share this show, because I love to, well, we need more viewers. We always want more viewers, right? Because it's all about sharing your amazing talents. But if you guys can share out the show, share out the promotions, you know, do something to bring an amazing awareness to our wonderful guests. I truly appreciate that very, very much. All right, everybody. Yes, I do. I agree. I should be showing this. Let's do a pop out so I don't have to do a copy and paste here. We'll show your amazing comments over here on Rumble. Thank you guys for that. That is so awesome. You guys have done so well at supporting my wonderful artist. I appreciate that. That's right. He was amazing. Bye, Rockstardom. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you come back and check us out. And I love that. Support real artists. And I love this group too, right? Absolutely unique. And that's one of the things I really love too, is every single one of you have such an amazing talent and makes our group so diverse and so unique. And it truly blesses my mornings in my life, because I love to wake up and see your amazing talents every single day. I love to highlight the artists every single day, right? And I love to have you on this show. All right, guys. Well, guess what? Tomorrow, there is no show. Normally we do the cooking shows, right, with the Reset Kitchen, but tomorrow I'm actually going to be out with my husband enjoying the anniversary gift. I know our anniversary was weeks ago, but we couldn't do the gift until this weekend. We're going on this amazing train ride, so we will not have a show tomorrow. I get to spend it with my wonderful husband, but I will be here on Monday, as I've got a couple of J6ers that we are going to be talking to and telling their stories. We've got an amazing Brian Mock, who was just on Laura Logan's show, and we're excited to hear from him and his amazing effort to help out the prisoners and find rehabilitation programs for them. And then we'll be welcoming back the amazing Jen Baker, a great friend of mine. So you guys are not going to want to miss Worldview on Monday at 7 p.m. If you guys want to find out about my show, the best way to do that is give me a follow. Please do so. And thank you guys for helping me get to over 600 here on Rumble. I'm so close to 5,000 on X, where we're streaming right now, but please give me a follow on all of my channels. You guys can follow me on X at Lady Hamilton AR1. You can follow me on X, Truth, Gabbed, and Pilled at Lady Hamilton Art. And if you have a chance to just go over there and hit subscribe to YouTube for me, I would appreciate that. You guys can find that at Lady Hamilton HH. All right, everybody, let's give some love to these wonderful people. Not only do I have truly the best viewers, and thank you, Hockey, so much for your wonderful donation tonight and your rant. I sure do appreciate you. And this team is the best team a girl could ever ask for. It's my wonderful team, Lady Hamilton moderators. You truly are the best. So let's give them some love and a follow as well, starting with the amazing JJRSVL. You guys can follow him on Truth, X, Gab, Pill, Getter. He's got an amazing Rumble channel. So if you're on any of those socials, go give him a follow. Our fantastic Tri-Stater, please give him a follow on X and on Truth. He's got a great group over there on Truth Social. Our beautiful Nancy, let's give her a follow on Truth and on X. Love her. Got our amazing and wonderful Frosty Pimp. He was our guest last night, by the way. If you didn't catch that show, go check it out. He is another phenomenal artist. Please give him a follow on Truth and on X. And our wonderful Kim will give her a follow on Truth. All right, guys, so we're leaving here tonight with another wonderful Artist Corner family member. I cannot wait. I know that they are working on album number 4, but we're going to be listening to a song from album number 2. This song is called Spiral Soul. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you, My Troubled Days, for being a part of our Artist Corner family and letting me play your music. I hope you guys all have a wonderful night tonight. And I will see everybody on Monday at 7 p.m. for our wonderful Worldview. Don't forget, I've got 2 amazing guests that you guys are going to want to definitely join me for that. I hope everybody has a fantastic Sunday. I will be doing my post for sure in the corners and getting all that out tomorrow. But after that, I am off with the hubby to enjoy our wonderful mystery murder train ride. And I will be back on Monday to see everybody. So everybody have a wonderful and happy Saturday. Thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to hit that like, follow, and share. And thank you guys for all your support with your rant, subscriptions, cash apps, tips, pills, and more. Everyone be blessed. See you Monday.
Trouble, soft and slow. There's nothing so dark streets toward you now. Nothing left to hold you but clean your path. Lost it back when this calm melts and twists to you now for your spiral. Lose no control. I think the signs are pointed down now, down now. I think the signs are pointed down now, down now. Common practice, these words belong instead of burning covered. What you thought to be, you can't see all that is and all that could be blindfolded. Just walk on, step on, we got powerful. You just don't know, you spiral soul. I think the signs are pointed down now, down now. I think the signs are pointed down now, down now. There's no control. These twisting roads go down. I think the signs are pointed down now, down now. I think the signs are pointed down now, down now.
Satellite coming down in 3,